But my beats, they are hard.
All right, welcome to another live edition of the BCSN SportsWrap Sunday night edition. Bryan Fulford, 80 Drew joining us tonight. We got Jamie Walker, J-Dub in the house. How you doing, Jamie?
I'm good, man. How y'all doing?
Man, no complaints from here, man. Just fired up, feeling good, feeling like I can kick a 50-yard field goal too.
Of course, there's no complaints on your behalf, sir. You know, you two being FAMU Rattlers and all, you know, y'all had a great weekend.
All my teams won. Yeah, exactly. That's how I feel. You know, Drew, what's good with you?
Another 2-0 weekend for the kid. Once again, got the living crap scared out of me both games, but it is what it is. But Jamie, at least you couldn't lose a game this week. That's all I got to say, my brother. At least you could not.
That's right. We went undefeated this weekend. You know,
exactly.
Could not lose.
Yes, you went undefeated.
Could not lose. As my Aggies did not play.
And one other thing, y'all black folk can't get nowhere on time, man. I don't know what I'm gonna do with y'all, man. Oh damn, I was the one who was late today.
Oh, look, I was gonna say, okay, hello, Pot. Yeah, all right. Okay. Nice. Hey, check that buzzing. You hear that little buzz? I hear a little buzzing there. I don't know if it's maybe coming from your cables touching something. Check. There it is. It went away. Good deal. All right.
Don't.
Yeah,
okay.
So it's gone now.
I have my back in my lap, so
yeah. All right.
That's where they came from.
Working high tech over there. Well, hey, welcome to another episode, 7th season, show number 9 of the SportsWrap, and it's good to be on. This is one of those fun shows we get. You know, every week is fun. So, you know, we make it fun. Sometimes I'm not gonna lie. Going into it, we're kind of like, how are we gonna make this fun? But today, because of what today is, it's like the beginning. You know, we've had a chance to kind of sit back and watch everybody else have their polls and all their other stuff. And look, the Black College Sports Network, we decided several years ago we weren't going to do preseason. We were going to let the first 4 weeks of the season play out, watch and see what happened. And then now that we can get rid of all the preseason fluff, kind of see who is where and who is what, and come out with our top 5 rankings. And every week from that point forward, track it all the way to we declare a Black College football national champion. So here it is. This is week 1. So this is sort of our first ranking. So I tell you, already the computer has got me scratching my head. And so, I mean, when we get into talking about that a little later in the show, man, I know it'll be a conversation starter. But remember, we do rankings, computer rankings, not a poll. So there are a lot of polls. If you want to know the poll of what that entity and this entity think, and that's all cool. But we give rankings, and sometimes the numbers they can leave you scratching your head, but they never lie. They never lie. So absence of bias, the BCSN top 5 rankings are what they are. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, we're going to talk to former North Carolina A&T defensive lineman Jermaine McDaniel. and we're gonna get into a conversation about. I think Jamie, the best way to describe this is a clash of culture. Does that sound like a good way to summarize what's been happening over the last week or so with A&T?
I think it's an excellent way to put it, because I think there's discussion of culture, different cultures, our culture not being a monolith. I think there's several ways of really going into this, but definitely within the fan base, just a little talking and little maybe difference of opinion.
Yeah, and Jermaine is one of those young men who believe he finished up in 22. He was part of the, I guess you could sort of say maybe he's one of the last of the Mohicans, last of the guys from that run of eliteness where A&T was kind of coming out of the MEAC and into the I lost count, James. So you have to
The Big South, going into the Big South.
thank you. I lost count of where y'all at nowadays. So yeah, so going from the Big South and then not quite the CAA, but you kind of know that's coming. So we'll get a chance to kind of hear from a player, someone who, and it also some interesting back and forth, Jamie, that we've seen that we'll talk about. The whole what is your sacrifice? You know, and we've been dealing with that a little bit at FAMU. You know, do you have to give so much money in order to complain, or does your degree, your hours on the yard, your hours on the field as a student and an athlete, is that just as good as dollars? What is the equal? Because it seems like there's some folk out there who don't seem to think that, well, unless you're given a certain amount of dollars, you can't complain. So we'll get into that. We'll talk a little bit about that. And then, of course, in hour 2, we got our coach Farasi Norman, will be joining us in the second hour. Already, Coach was already jumping in. One of the first ones to jump in. Putting the big, good music. You know, Coach Farasi, he strikes me as an old school kind of guy, like maybe a little Earth, Wind, and Fire. Maybe, we did have Earth, Wind, and Fire Day just recently. You know, what kind of music does Coach strike you as, Drew? What kind of band does it look like Coach might listen to? I don't know. Is Drew there? I don't have Drew. I don't know. Drew, can you hear me?
I'm sorry, I lost you for a second.
All right. Well, I was no. Well, don't worry about it. I was, it's kind of.
I can see Coach being a blues guy, being
a blues, okay. Yeah.
I can see him, old school, even though not old, just old soul. That music just kind of appeals to him, kind of like me.
Yeah. All right. So a fun show for everybody tonight. Got folks already checking in. Good to see some folks. Let's see, Jeff Roberts, give you a shout out, Jamie, right off the bat, coming in. Get a little Aggie pride, Jeff. See that. That's what's up. David Garner coming in. Good to see you, David. Thanks for coming in. Dropping some, obviously, the headlines, and I'll be doing that in the chat room. Appreciate you. Tamara T, good to see you. Got a chance to meet you, Tamara, last night. So very cool. Very appreciative for hanging around. Me and Kelvin Rozier of the ONG Strike Zone did a super late. It didn't feel as late as maybe some other games, but we did the post game after the Florida A&M Alabama State game. So good to actually kind of meet her and other folks as well. Mary 305 checking in on the Sunday. Good to see you. Chuck Hunt checking in from Monroe, Louisiana. Man, another good weekend for the state of Louisiana. Well, I tell you what, you keep stringing together these kind of weekends, we have to watch out. We're gonna have a little swag flashbacks.
Mike, don't forget about the humidity down in Louisiana.
Yes, indeed. A&T Roy checking in. More right versus wrong. Okay. Yeah. Let's see who else we got coming in already. Yeah, and I think so. Let me re-clarify, because I know I already seen Chuck. No, we don't have Jermaine Martin coming on. We have I did the same thing. So we have Jermaine McDaniel, defensive lineman. Actually plays now currently with the New Jersey Generals, with USFL, was drafted in the college draft, pick number 53. So that's who we have, not Jermaine Martin. I know you kind of, if you hear it real quick, then you kind of like thinking one thing and then it goes off on another. But
look, and on the street, Jermaine, it's the same person.
Well, look, on the street, yes, not listening clearly, or if my speech isn't good or great, then yes, I see how that could throw you off. All right, so let's do this. Let's go. What do you want to add, Drew?
I was going to ask Jamie, did he know he was with one of the greatest psychics in the world as our host?
Who?
Is that right?
Me? Is that right? Yeah, I need to ask him when we get off what's the lottery numbers going to be for tomorrow, so I can go play this pick 3 and put a couple of dollars in my pocket.
Hey, we could all use that, man. We could all use those, but
let me give you numbers. 450, 450. There you go. That 450. There's your pick 3 for Monday in honor of the 4 50-yard plus field goals that were kicked that won the Colts game. There you go. Now, when 450 hits, just say thank you, and then make a small donation to the show.
Yeah, I got you. But Jamie, what am I talking about? I even pointed this out. Bryan didn't even realize that he did this. Check this out, Jamie. Just check this out and listen to this.
They have to score touchdowns.
Every possession is, I'm realistic. Every possession is not going to be a score. That's all I'm saying.
The area. You asked but you were saying what is a good drive?
Yes. So I was just
the only good drive for this team is finishing it with a score.
All right. With that setup, which may have been poorly set up on my part. Okay, I get it. I'm predicting a score of 34-14. To be honest, that's the crazy part. So I'm expecting 4 touchdowns and a couple of field goals. So I think we have 6 scoring drives, or maybe 5. Because here's one of my bold predictions. My bold prediction: 2 defensive interceptions. We had our first of the season this past week, right off the tip. That was our first defensive interception. And I'm saying one of them we take back to the house. So I'm calling for 2.
It's a good game.
INTs,
that's a good call.
2 INTs and a pick 6.
Y'all heard it. Y'all heard it right here.
We probably
y'all heard it.
Mr. Cleo.
Hey, look.
You heard it right here.
We definitely should have had 2. One of them turned into a touchdown for the other team. Let me just say that. Okay. It did. The one touchdown came off of I should have been an interception. And then we got the pick 6. So I do what I've been calling for a pick 6 for the last 3 weeks, by the way. So I'll be all honest here. It's good to know Isaiah Major heard me. I had to thank him. I almost thanked him in the post game, but I said, nah, I don't want to do that. But it was good that he probably heard the show and knew that, I got to get a pick 6. Mr. Fulford been calling for it, so I got to go ahead and get it done for my man. So, that's just what I would have thought. But anyway, it is what it is. So, hey, all right, let's get into this quickly and talk a little bit about this past weekend's game, week number 4. Jamie, what's your big? Give me a good win. Your one of your top wins, whether it be D2 or FCS from the weekend. What's your first up?
Man, you know what? Wow, it's a couple of them from the D2 ranks, especially those that won close games. I know AD was complaining earlier about having that heart attack at Tuskegee. But I'm gonna tell you what,
overtime will do it to you.
Yeah, it will, man. It kind of that Maylocks moment. But I'm gonna say Allen with a big win over Central State, holding them off. Central State's a good team. Been saying that really all this year, especially offensively, and for Allen to be able to hold them off, scoring points on their own, and being able to kind of just keep themselves at bay, because I think people really still don't believe in them, which is crazy to me anyway, because that coaching staff, the pedigree in which Coach Keaton has, being at a couple of schools, and then them being able to just score points at will. That game against Kentucky State showed me all I needed to see about their moxie, about what they could do defensively as well. So I think that Allen win versus Central State was a big one to me. I would say one big one of the weekend.
Well, the thing with Allen, obviously, reestablishing their program, and I'm just kind of glancing back through the previous records. So going back to 2018, this is uncharted territory for Allen, and this what do you call it? This
reiteration.
Thank you. This reiteration of Allen. I don't know historically, but I know, since 2018, 4 wins, the 4-5 season that they had in 2021 was their best season. So we pretty much feel like, sort of something tragic happened. This feels like a team that's going to eclipse the 4-win plateau, 4-0 already. And
we've seen this story in Columbia, South Carolina before, Bryan.
And we have, yeah. You think they were looking across the street? Exactly. You think they were looking across the street, watching what Benedict did, and said, "Hey, fellas, you know what? This is us. This can be us next year." So it's kind of nice to see what they're putting together at Allen. And that, what's interesting about that game against Central State, this is the second week in a row Allen had to. Well, I don't know. This week was a little different. Unlike last week where they were down. How many touchdowns last week?
3, 4,
3.
Yeah.
27 points.
Mm-hmm.
This is a game where they definitely went back and forth. I mean, they scored 3 times in a row, had a 2-touchdown lead going into the third quarter. But, like you said, Jamie, Central State, credit to them. They rallied with 2 touchdowns at the end of the third, and then with about 12 minutes to go in the fourth quarter to tie it up. But David Wright, another 300-yard passing performance. I think this might be every game this season so far. I'm just kind of glancing at the individual stats. 28 of 51. 370. Now, he did have 3 interceptions. So you take that for what it's worth. But they got some good production on the ground for some other guys. Bo Harrington had 110 net yards. And they put up 500. I think it was 500 total yards of offense, man.
Listen,
I'm
telling you.
503.
This squad, man, Coach has been saying it for a couple of years when it came to what Allen was going to be able to do. And he said if he can keep his quarterback upright, they would do some great things. You got to think about what they went through last year, losing David Wright, losing the second-string QB, getting down to the third, and even having a receiver have to play quarterback one game. So, if they can keep David Wright upright, they have a chance in probably every single ball game they play.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what else has made the difference for Allen, possibly, and it has nothing to do with any of the players on the field. It's who they hired to lead their defense, that being LC Cole. I think that may be one of the biggest hires for Allen. LC Cole has always been known as the defensive guy, former coach at Alabama State, amongst many other schools that he has been at. And he's gotten it right this year, no pun intended, on the defensive side of the ball. So you got the defense being right, and then you've got David Wright. So they're able to survive. They're surviving and advancing right now. They're learning how to win. So it is what it is. Now they do have a test coming up this week that we will
Oh
get
yeah.
into.
Oh yeah.
We'll get into that later. But Fort Valley, one of those teams.
Yeah, but Allen right now, 2 SIAC matchups, both of them close games, but they're still one of the 4. Now there are 4 unbeaten teams left in Black college football. Allen is sitting there as one of them. Drew, you want to talk about another big under D1 game involving one of your alma maters?
Yeah, I will say, I was joking with you about numbers, but the number is 7-11, Brian.
Oh wow, okay. What is that? What's the catch there?
That is, but hey, Jamie, your school teacher, you can't pull them out of the bathroom like you did when we
If you know, you know. If you know, you know.
walking down the hall. Here he come, y'all. Here he come.
He come. Let's go. Watch out. Watch out. Watch out. Yeah, you just know what's going on in there.
Yeah, no. 7-11 represents the number of all-time victories for Tuskegee University. As they enter the season at 707, have picked up 4 this year. So 7-11, lucky number in Tuskegee as far as their victories. And they need a little bit of that luck because after getting off to a hot start versus Lane smacked them in the mouth, but did find out later that there were 5 starters not playing in that game against Lane. And including, I know, the first string quarterback and maybe possibly even either the number 2 or the number 3. I know we were down 2 quarterbacks at Tuskegee. So, great job by Coach James putting a game plan together to allow them to do it in the double overtime. A lot of low scoring games yesterday. I mean, we had 2 10-7 games. Bowie won by a score of 10-7 over a St. Augustine's team that you would expect them to dominate. Mm-hmm. And then a game that was on HBCU Go, Virginia Union, Fayetteville State came down to a last-second field goal that Fayetteville State beat Union. And how many of us got that one wrong?
Yeah, well, yeah. Everybody here, everybody on this screen, we all went to Oppo last week, but
Fayetteville State 2-0, Winston-Salem State 2-0, Johnson C. Smith 2-0, Virginia Union.
Hey, all that smack talk we were running about the CIA or the CIAA South. What was that? Just 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago, we were talking smack about the CIAA South not even having a win. And now look what they've done. They actually have a better conference record right now than the North in the CIAA. Yeah. So and you just said those 3 unbeaten teams. I mean, go
in conference play. Yes. Yeah. So it's and of course you got Virginia State sitting up there. Looks like they're the class of the CIAA at this moment. But last one, did you see? First of all, I got two other points. Benedict, 1 touchdown in 4 games.
Yeah.
1 touchdown in 4 games. 10 points on the season. That's real easy math. That's 2.5 points per game.
Less than a field goal.
That's unheard of. 2.5 points per game. But did you see the smacking that Coach Sam Shade gave to the old ball coach over there in Atlanta?
No, I missed it.
It was ugly. I looked at the replay this morning.
Is that the Miles?
It was
the Miles game.
Ugly.
Yes, Miles Clark, Atlanta. I mean that. I love. I love Coach Slater, but that game was not Coach Slater light. I think he was at his backup quarterback, but some of the play calling that Miles had in that game was questionable at best. They had a couple of times where they drove down into the red zone and they passed when they should have run. They ran when they should have passed, and they got behind the 8 ball, and it was ugly. Miles scored early. Miles scored often. That's the best thing to say about that particular game. I think I pretty much hit everything I wanted to on the non-Division I level right there.
Yeah, I want to
I'm
add.
gonna tell you what though. Yeah.
Oh,
Go
ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, only thing
No,
I was going to
I
add.
was.
You go.
Go, Jamie. Jamie, go.
I was just gonna. Yeah, I was just gonna add to what you were saying about Clark Atlanta. They in that Kentucky State game, that last game, they got decimated with injury. Their offensive weapon that they only had left was Daquan Kinsey, the running back, who had a phenomenal game in that Miles game, despite losing 55-14. But you're down to about the third string quarterback. You're down a few receivers, and I want to say one person injured 3 people in that play. In one play, in that Kentucky State game. Yeah, Clark Atlanta right now is looking for people to play. So right now, yeah, man, it's bad. It's bad.
If you're in the Atlanta, Georgia area and can attend a class at Clark Atlanta, please report to the athletic office as soon as possible.
And bring your cleats.
And bring your cleats, right.
Who you going to say, Bryan?
I wanted to come back to that Fayetteville State Virginia Union game. I don't think any of us knew that the remnants of a tropical storm, what it was, Ophelia, was going to be. I didn't even know that was going on. I hear that and I think about there was a television show where the name Ophelia was. But anyway, so I'm like, Tropical Storm Ophelia played havoc on that game and
forced the game to be played today. Elizabeth City and Shaw, I believe.
Shaw, yes,
it was
Shaw. It was like 1 o'clock this afternoon.
The game was moved to today because of the weather. And I guarantee you, if that game wasn't on HBCU Go, that game probably should have been played at a different time also.
Well, that game, that Fayetteville Virginia Union game, I hate the fact that it was under those weather conditions, because that was a game I thought was definitely worthy. That again, I've been calling that the CIAA championship game that never was from a year ago. Virginia Union had 3 fumbles in the game. Fayetteville State had 1, so you had a total of 4. And what was interesting is the Virginia Union fumbles, and I tracked this down. They lost one of them on their own 2-yard line. That ended up turning into a touchdown for Fayetteville State. The second one was in the third quarter on the Fayetteville State 29-yard line. So normal weather conditions, you're probably thinking you're going into field goal territory. And then the third fumble on their own 38-yard line in the fourth quarter ended up being what turned into the game-winning field goal opportunity for Fayetteville State. So Fayetteville State didn't even have over 100 yards of total offense, but they benefited by scoring off of those 2 turnovers. So, that's just the nature of the game, the way it's played. But it's a tough break for Virginia Union. Good win for Fayetteville State. And now we just got to wait to see how the rest of the CIAA plays out. And then I'll make one last note here. West Virginia State, don't sleep. Now 3-1 on the year. Picked up a win over Lawrence is right on it there. Picked up their 3rd Division II win by beating their conference Glenville State, and they go into probably a contest against one of the favorites this upcoming weekend. So keep an eye out on West Virginia State in the Mountain East, the rugged Mountain East division. All right, let's take a break, because coming up on the other side, we're going to talk with Jermaine McDaniel, and we're gonna get into talking about a little North Carolina A&T clash of cultures that's been happening over the past week. So hang in there, and we'll talk to Jermaine and find out what the real tea is happening at North Carolina A&T in Greensboro, as he is an alum. And so we'll find out and talk to him, and Jamie will kind of lead the ship through these troubled waters that the Aggies are going through. So hang in there. You're watching the BCSN Sports Wrap. We'll be back in just a moment.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com. All right. Hello. Welcome back to the BCSN Sports Wrap. Bryan and AD here. Jamie Walker joining us. And we are pleased to have with us Mr. Jermaine McDaniel, an Aggie alum, currently defensive lineman with the New Jersey General. Jermaine, welcome to the show. Aggie Pride. I think that's what you Aggies say to each other, right?
Yes, it is.
Aggie Pride.
I felt like I had to make him feel like he was at home.
Now, Jermaine, I tell you what, you're surrounded by a couple of FAMU Rattlers, man. So look, don't
take
even,
it personal.
Yeah, don't take it personal.
They
they always try to come at us. But man, hey, I've always known about what you've been able to do on the football field and what you've accomplished after transferring from Appalachian State to coming on the fold at North Carolina A&T. But also did not know this. You, I think Vontae Leach is your your great
uncle. Yeah, he's my uncle. Yeah,
outstanding, former Baltimore Raven. But talking about this, man, that area of football. You're from Dillon, South Carolina. I'm from right over the border, Bladenboro, North Carolina, Whiteville, North Carolina, that area. And I played against South Robinson in high school, so I'm familiar with that family. And just what they do, tough, hard-nosed football, and lots of football players from that area. But Jermaine, tell me about your experience at North Carolina A&T, just in general after transferring from Appalachian State.
Coming in to North Carolina A&T in 2019, it was a great transition. I mean, I met Coach Washington and all the coaching staff up there at first in January, like mid-January, and they was all welcoming. Everybody was like, we ain't got it like how it was at App State, but we got a lot of work. And I said, shoot, that's all I need, So it was all good from the get-go, So they brought me out to the spring game, and I met Matt. I met Matt McCain there, He he wasn't playing that time. He was nursing injury, coming back from injury. So looking at him and I was talking to him, he said, man, he looked at me dead in my face. He said, man, you're gonna have a good time here. He said, and I don't mean like just, even football wise or even, school wise, but as growing as a man, you're gonna have a good time here. So it was a great time coming into, you know what I'm saying, that last Celebration Bowl year, just being around the atmosphere of a winning culture, you know what I'm saying, coming from a winning culture too. So, you know, ain't not really changed from that standpoint.
That's right. Knowing I gotta talk to him. Won three straight state championships coming out of high school. So you're definitely been around a winning culture. But along with that transition, you talked about how Coach Washington welcomed you into the fold, leaving Appalachian State. How was it playing in the MEAC in that particular conference?
It was lit, to say the least. It was lit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Every game was, you know, it has a meaning to it, it had background to it, it had history to it. So, you know what I'm saying? You kind of take appreciation of that, knowing that every game, like, you know what I'm saying? We look at the history of that, like, I'm looking at the record, like, God dang, like, you know what I'm saying? Very lopsided. But, you know what I'm saying? Long history to that, you know what I'm saying? I'm looking at the South Carolina State record, you know what I'm saying? I'm looking at 100 years playing Central. Like, I'm looking at all these games, and I'm like, this is, like, historic, you know what I'm saying? Be a part of history. You know what I'm saying? That means a lot. You know what I'm saying? Coming from a player, like coming from a African-American player from one case, you like, you know what I'm saying? You can say, like, to your kids, once they come up to your grandkids, like, hey, I was a part of that. So, you know what I'm saying? That's a great thing, like, to commemorate.
All right.
Let me ask
when you first heard about the move to the Big South. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Bryan. I'm sorry.
No. Go ahead. Finish up, Jamie. Finish up. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Jermaine, when you first heard about the move to the Big South, how much input did you all have, and just what was your instant reaction?
There's two sides to that. My first instant reaction, like, cause that's will be 2020, so that'll be after my first year coming in. So I wasn't really, you know what I'm saying, doing too much when it comes to, you know what I'm saying, reacting. I was just more like, I'm here. So no matter what happens, like, I'm gonna be playing here. So, but once he kind of sunk in, it's kind of like, at first I was like, okay, this is a new challenge. You know what I'm saying? We get to compete with other FCS teams, have a chance to be an HBCU team holding up a national title, you know, FCS title, you know what I'm saying? Instead of it being like a kind of, you know what I'm saying, oh, we get to go to Celebration Bowl, but they'll consider us like national champions, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like a knock, you know what I'm saying? People are looking at it like that. So I kind of saw it as a new challenge, but at the same time, once that kind of like got away, kind of like we were good where we was at, you know what I'm saying? So what's the point of, you know what I'm saying, leaving, breaking something that don't need to be fixed, you know what I'm saying? Like, it just, I ain't really see the point of it after a while.
All right, Bryan.
Let me ask this, Jermaine. You from you and your teammates, as you talked to them, what was their impression or maybe their vibe from what the Celebration Bowl and what winning the MEAC and winning the celebration meant versus what you had the opportunity to play for? Because I mean, when you move to the Big South, you're no longer playing for the Celebration Bowl. And, you know, so kind of maybe compare and contrast, you know, were guys excited about the opportunity? Did they really care? Did they know one versus the other? What was the vibe like as you think back on those years where you're transitioning from the MEAC to the Big South?
Well, if I can speak for them, you know what I'm saying, like, and you're going to have to ask some of them their personal opinion, but if I can speak for the majority, you know what I'm saying, we hated it, you know what I'm saying, we ain't want that, you know what I'm saying, because it was kind of like, dang, like, you know what I'm saying, you kind of like kick us out, and then you kind of want us to assimilate into another conference. Well, you know what I'm saying, that ain't the vibe, you know what I'm saying, plus, like, these games, like, you know what I'm saying, he took out valuable games that kind of meant a lot to fans, you know what I'm saying, like, we all got up for kind of weeks like this, you know what I'm saying, like, not to say these other games ain't important, but, you know what I'm saying, there was a different feel to these type of games, you know what I'm saying, you take away that, you kind of take away, you know what I'm saying, the moxie of it all, you know, and like, that kind of sucked, like, you know what I'm saying, that 2021 schedule, like, we playing for something bigger, but at the same time, these games, all we had was Central, State, and we played Hampton too, but other than that, we ain't have FAMU. We ain't have Morgan State. We ain't have, you know what I'm saying, Delaware State. People saying these games ain't, but like, them games means a lot. We get to play against other HBCU talent. You know what I'm saying? Like, I kind of like to keep it, you know what I'm saying, where we at, you know? But that's just how guys felt.
And how was it? I hate to use the word pitched, but how was it told or sold to you guys? Not that, you know, you guys were thinking about, oh, well, I'm going to transfer now that we changed. But what was sort of the messaging coming from, whether it be coaches or administration, to you guys?
So how they kicked it to us was like this. Like, so it was during COVID, you know what I'm saying? We talking about, you know what I'm saying, even if we're going to have a season. So around this time, like, it was pretty sure it was 2021. So 2021 spring, we were still kind of like in the mid, but we transitioning. But, you know what I'm saying, we having meetings. We having leadership meetings. And then I'm in these meetings, you know what I'm saying? And Earl here, you know what I'm saying, I'm pretty sure he didn't come up with this by himself. I'm pretty sure it's a conglomerate of folk who was coming together saying this is how we can present this opportunity to these players. And, you know what I'm saying, he just brought it to us like this. In 2021 spring, we were supposed to play in the MEAC for a ring, you know what I'm saying? And I think that's what bogus, you know what I'm saying, ended up being a bogus type of deal. But then he said we're going to transition to the Big South, you know, and we're going to get this type of stipends. We're going to do all this. A lot of things going to come forth, a lot of changes, but he ain't like, you know what I'm saying, he put everything that was supposed to be good, he put that on the back end, like, you know what I'm saying, y'all ain't, he just basically told us that y'all ain't going to get this. This is for, like, you know what I'm saying, he basically told this for players down the line, you know what I'm saying? So we sacrificing for, you know what I'm saying, those guys later on. That's basically what he's telling us. Like, that's the forefront of what he's telling. Like, we are doing something for long term, you know what I'm saying? Like how you would say a rebuilding phase type of thing. So that's how it was brought to us.
And how'd that go over with you?
I mean, I'm here to play. Like, as you see, like last year we was in the championship game, so I don't know no team rebuilding that's playing in no championship game. So either way, I was here to ball out. Like, that's the whole goal for me. Like, it ain't nothing like, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You can say they can present how they want to, they can say what they want. You know what I'm saying? We didn't get the things that, you know what I'm saying, that's hopefully going to be given to these players later on. Hopefully, you know what I'm saying, the things that we had asked for, the money that we had asked for, the things, the resources that we need to help us grow, you know what I'm saying, as a program, hopefully these players later on get those things, but we wasn't afforded those things, you know what I'm saying? We was told about these things and knowing that it's not going to come fruition in the time that we do. So I took it on the chin and just said, let's rock, you know, and that's how the other guys start, because, you know what I'm saying, it is what it is at the end of the day. It ain't like, we know we ain't got too much power to say or to do anything but react. So we just took it on the chin.
Good point. Go ahead, Drew.
I want to go back to you guys' mentality as far as getting up for the games and everything. Now, when you're in the BAC, like you say, it's a lot easier to get up for all those games when you're playing HBCU, you're playing 8, 9 HBCUs on your schedule, and then you're playing 1, 2, possibly 3 non-HBCUs on your schedule. So you say you don't look ahead, and you say you know, it's a game in 60 minutes, but let's be real, we're humans. We get up for different games in different ways. Now, when you flip that schedule, now you've got majority non-HBCU games. So did those HBCU games become even more special than they were that year when you were in the BAC? And how was the general feeling getting up for the games in the two different seasons because of the tasks that you had and the atmospheres that you had to play in, going to a lot of non-African American fans in the stadiums versus, yeah, they may not be rooting for me, but they look like me. So kind of take me through that.
Well, in comparison, is like two different types. So, you know what I'm saying, you have a HBCU you playing against, you have a PWI you playing against. The HBCU, let's say, is South Carolina State. Like, you know what I'm saying? Personally, I'm from South Carolina. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have a lot of people who go to South Carolina State from my city. You know what I'm saying? They watching that game. As you said, they might not be on the same team, but they from where I'm from. They still also cheer for me. You know what I'm saying? That's a hometown game for me. You know what I'm saying? versus, let's say, we playing Charleston
Eli.
Southern. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? We playing Charleston Southern. I don't know why. You know what I'm saying? I got guys that play at Charleston too, but it's not like it's a you get there, the band not there. You know what I'm saying? Like you see the student section, you know, nobody there. You know what I'm saying? Like, and like I've been to lit PWI games too. I've been to the Penn States. I've been to the Georgia. Those are straight. You feel what I'm saying? But if it's not one of them, you go to these other PWI. That's not like that. You gonna have a dead game. You know what I'm saying? I'm just keeping it real. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think they got Villanova, like North Carolina A&T got Villanova coming up. Like, I never known Villanova to have no football team. You feel what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, what are we doing? You feel me? So like, I can't like I'm gonna get up for games like that. You feel what I'm saying? 'Cause I'm a baller, but like it's kind of like hard to get a very good crowd following for that. You feel what I'm saying? Like, and like I'm looking like I used to look up at the stands in 2021. You feel what I'm saying? We played teams like Robert Morris, there'll be nobody there. I feel like we playing at a scrimmage or a practice, and I'm just like,
Now, were these
this is
home
different.
games
You
or
feel
away
me?
games? I'm sorry to cut you
This
off.
is home games. This is in Truist Bank Stadium. This ain't away. You feel me? This isn't like my first game versus Elon. Now that was the first like home opener, so I expect that to be lit. But that was lit. You feel what I'm saying? That's against the PWI. You feel what I'm saying? That was in 2019. But when we got to games like nobody know these teams, like you have some alumni there. You feel what I'm saying? Hardcore alumni there. Yeah, they do. You feel what I'm saying? Other than that, but man, there'll be teams like times when I'm like, dang man, like what the world we got going on here? But it's just that you can't like what do you expect people to do? I'm like, I'm not getting up. If I'm a fan, like you gotta see it from the fan perspective. I'm not getting up spending my money to watch them whoop up on no PWI. You feel what I'm saying? I'm not doing that. You feel what I'm saying? So I see it. You feel what I'm saying? I can't hate on no fan for doing that, like come support us. Nah, keep your money in your pocket, save your bread. You feel what I'm saying? You can see the score from the scoreboard, but now we playing fair. Hey, I'll bet you jump out your seat for this. Hey, we're gonna have a party. You feel what I'm saying? This ain't no other two games gonna be no party. You feel me?
All right. Now let's transition. Although you're not there, your school has moved on to the Continental, the CAA. Now, so I need you to speak as an alum on this one. How do you feel as an alum with you going from the BAC to the Big South to the CAA, all within a 5-year time span? Because you're an alum now, so
I think they just using this as like, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't know how to like use a euphemism for it for real, but they using this as we're the, you know what I'm saying? We here and then we're there and then we're here and then we're there. You know what I'm saying? And everybody just kind of like, you know, doing what they do. You feel what I'm saying? Everybody staying where they supposed to stay. You feel what I'm saying? Everybody either moving up or they moving down, but we bouncing side to side, side to side. You know what I'm saying? They ain't got no plan. Like, I feel like it's a lot of anxiety around us because I feel like we ain't got no plan. We ain't got no situation where it's like, this is who we are, this is what we're doing, and this is how we're going to play. You feel what I'm saying? Like, you keep doing all these changes. People ain't comfortable with change, especially no change where you be like, dang, I ain't, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was just getting comfortable. You feel what I'm saying? Like, what we gonna do? You know what I'm saying? You creating a lot of angst and anxiety against people, and like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it's brought upon, you know what I'm saying? Like the people who made these decisions. I do not know, you know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna, you know what I'm saying, call out any names. I'm just talking about who I spoke to about these things. You know what I'm saying? What they told me. Now, I do not know who making these decisions, but these decisions creating, you know what I'm saying, anxiety amongst the people who are affected by these decisions. That's all I'm gonna say.
all right. I want to move away from A&T for a moment. You're in the USFL, and last week there came out some news about a XFL USFL merger. Kind of talk about your experience in the USFL and your opinion. And have you heard anything about the merger and your opinions on that possible merger?
For one, I'd like to thank the New Jersey Generals. I mean, for selecting me in their draft. For one, that's a wonderful team. Love to be a part of. You know what I'm saying? Great organization. And I think you know, when it comes to the merger, like I think it's going to be a wonderful thing. I think the outcome could be, you know what I'm saying, not what anybody expect. You know what I'm saying? I don't really expect nothing but good things to come out of it, but it's gonna be a great process. You know what I'm saying? That's a great thing to like get into. Like all these spring leagues, like showcase other players' talent, and like you know what I'm saying. There's great players out here that you know what I'm saying haven't caught the eye of the NFL scouts. You know what I'm saying, for whatever reason. You know what I'm saying? And to be one of them guys, cause you know what I'm saying, I'm in that type of path. So, you know what I'm saying, it's all about working. You know what I'm saying? It's all about continuing the journey. And that's what, you know what I'm saying, I'm on right now when it comes to, you know what I'm saying, the USFL feel like it's a great thing. Like being over there in Ohio, cause everything is situated in Ohio, even though the team is New Jersey Generals, everything is stationed out there in Canton, Ohio. So it's a great situation to be in.
Go ahead, Jamie.
All right. Nah, Jermaine, I appreciate your candidness out of all of this, man, because as an alum, I wanted to get the player perspective, especially talking about different environments, because it's been a back and forth thing where we talked about player comments this week, especially on Twitter. Jermaine Martin being very vocal, Matt McCain being vocal as well, as far as this being a lateral move, and was it culturally competent to do so? And you really addressed all of those things. But you also put in perspective that they said it was a futuristic move more than anything. So do you feel deceived by those powers that be when it comes to making the moves that they eventually made?
Am I deceived? No, I'm not deceived because I expected it. You know what I'm saying? Like I expect for, you know what I'm saying, the conversation that we had in those meetings not to avail to anything. You know what I'm saying? I know we was just there for show. You know what I'm saying? Like the meetings that we had, I'm not gonna speak on the things that were said in those meetings because those were for those meetings, but we had grievances that were, you know what I'm saying, we felt that should be, you know what I'm saying, issued and, you know what I'm saying, and to be, hold on one second. And to be quite frank, we had grievances that wasn't, you know what I'm saying, nobody cared about, you know what I'm saying, that we felt like that nobody, you know what I'm saying, took issue to. And when those things that we talked about wasn't, you know what I'm saying, rectified, we just kind of gave it like, you know what I'm saying, we just threw our hands up and be like, you know, we here for education. We here to, you know what I'm saying, at the end of the day, get a degree and pursue, you know what I'm saying, career. And we tried, you know what I'm saying, we talked, we tried, we spoke to all these folks, you know what I'm saying, we sent the emails, we had the team put together. We did these things, you know what I'm saying, no matter how many, you know what I'm saying, there was a time when people say we didn't apply enough pressure. But I mean, dang, like, you know what I'm saying? At a certain point, like, you know what I'm saying, we trying to like, you know what I'm saying, still be here too, you know what I'm saying? So it's like there's a lot of things that we had needed to be handled that wasn't handled. I'm not deceived by it at all. But I'm glad those other guys, you know what I'm saying, the Maine and Matt, you know what I'm saying, they brought to light a lot of things, you know what I'm saying, because Maine gonna speak the truth, so is Matt. Like Maine always gonna speak his mind, and you know what I'm saying, it's the truth, man. Like there was a time where it's like, dang, what are we doing here? And you know, people were telling us different things, and at some point, I wasn't expecting nothing. You know what I'm saying? End of the day, but I'm glad, like you know what I'm saying, we still had memorable times. Like it still was a good time though to be, you know what I'm saying, at AT Aggie. So I ain't complaining about it.
Let me ask one question here for you, Jermaine. When you think about the future of your alma mater, your program, what do you think the future is? What do you think it looks like in the next 3 to 5 years?
When it comes to a 5-year span, I don't expect anything less than, you know what I'm saying, extraordinary. Like I honestly don't. Like I still think this is a great program. I still think like there's even better times to come than the times that you've seen before. And you know, there's certain things that, you know what I'm saying, we gotta overcome, but at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying, Aggies do. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, like, you know what I'm saying, there's some statements that we say that just hold true. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was one of those things, like, we just gonna do it. You know what I'm saying? We still like the #1 public HBCU in the nation for a reason. So, you know what I'm saying, we gotta stand by something.
All right. I like that. I like that. That sound like a shirt we need to get made up. Jamie, Aggies do. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
I like
Hey, we got T-shirts that say Aggies do. Any
Oh,
Aggie
y'all-
knows.
okay.
Yes,
okay.
that Aggies do. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Y'all good though?
Yeah, Jermaine. I mean, let people give Jermaine the last word. You know, any shout outs you want to give, anything you want us to be paying attention to down the line. Anybody you want to shout out? We'll give you the last word.
Man, appreciate y'all for having me, man. Just look out. If I could shout out anybody, I'd say just shout out the team, man. Like, you know what I'm saying, don't give up on our Aggies, man. Like, look out for the Aggies that, you know what I'm saying, the alum, you know what I'm saying, all the way up down to, you know what I'm saying, Tariq Cohen, everybody that came from Aggies. A lot of people doing this stuff, you know what I'm saying, they came for us, you know what I'm saying. So look out for all of us, because we doing something special, you know what I'm saying, each and every single one of us. So, you know what I'm saying, we all doing it.
All right. Well, hey, thanks for your time tonight. Appreciate your candor. Appreciate you
Your honesty.
Your honesty. Yeah,
Yes.
definitely, man.
Yes.
It's much appreciated. And man, just you an alum now, so you gotta carry the water and that next generation that's coming up. Let those young guys who are in those pads let them know what it means to put on that helmet and wear that jersey. And so I'm rooting for A&T no matter what conference they in. I'm because I want to see excellence wherever. It doesn't matter what conference y'all in. I want to see HBCUs be excellent everywhere. So I'll be rooting. I'll be rooting for y'all in whatever conference y'all in.
Yes, sir. Appreciate y'all for sure.
All right. Jermaine McDaniel, you want what's the social media? You want to give your social media handles out or anything like that?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Watch my __ on Instagram. You know what I'm saying. I do comedy, I rap. You know what I'm saying. All that stuff. You know what I'm saying. Look out for all that. Big Man 2E6 on Twitter. You know all that stuff. Check me out. I got all links and stuff like that to check out. So y'all, you know what I'm saying. Shout out to all that.
Oh man, you setting up the post football career up. Comedy, rapping.
Yeah,
Okay,
sure,
man. Okay.
Sure. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Got a lot of outlets.
Diversified.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Got to have a lot of. Okay, man. We got to have to check that out, Jay. We got to set that up. We want to have Jermaine. Whenever we do the remote and do a live somewhere where Jermaine's gonna be, we got to have you on the live show or somewhere like that. Have you come on and
for sure.
do a set for us. Do a set or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. Hey, I appreciate your time tonight. Thanks for coming on the show. God bless. Good luck this upcoming spring, and we'll be looking for you with the Generals. All right.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Appreciate y'all.
Yes, sir. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Jermaine
Appreciate
McDaniel.
you, man.
Yeah.
Aggie pride.
True that. I see how y'all do. Aggies do. I love it, man. I love it. Interesting.
Look,
yeah. Go ahead, Jay.
I told you. Oh no. Go ahead, Bryan. Go ahead. I'm gonna answer the question you about to throw out there.
No. Answer it then. Answer it.
No, man. I mean, it's refreshing to hear honesty. It's also very interesting to hear what the player perspective is versus not even versus alumni perspective. But I think that there are some things that at least blaming wise, as far as AD, chancellor, and people in the powers that be, what they were told versus what's happening. I think there's a lot of irons in the fire, so to speak. And with our retiring chancellor, who's brought A&T to great heights. The plan was always, as a matter of fact, the clip just came out. The plan was, the insight and foresight was to do even bigger things. And so for, AD Earl Hilton to kind of relay the message that this is not necessarily for you, but this is for these future Aggies, is a very tough yet truthful conversation that he had with them. And he's exactly right. It's not. The investment going into the facilities, you're about to see the school transform into something else athletic-wise. Now, the question will always be, is it forsaking the culture to do that? It depends. You heard Jermaine's comments as far as playing HBCUs, but the attendance within certain HBCUs that we played in the MEAC didn't necessarily reflect getting up for certain games, which tells you the idea that the administration had going into the conference change, especially if you can continue playing those same schools like a Norfolk State, a North Carolina Central, and others. So it just depends.
You know what it's almost like? It's like you go to a school as a player and your team gets put on probation and gets a postseason ban, and you know that one of the things you go to a school for is have the ability to compete for a championship. It seems like it's almost kind of a similar type situation with the transition, that you're not there. You came to that school for the HBCU culture, which the HBCU culture doesn't change on campus, but as a student athlete, it's when you compete on campus against other people, or when you travel to, other places. One of the things I enjoyed when I was coaching at an HBCU is stepping onto those other HBCU campuses throughout the nation, and it's afforded me personally. I have been on 55 HBCU campuses at some point in time in my life. I'm not talking about doing a drive-by. I mean, actually being on those campuses, either in an academic manner or in an athletic manner at some point in time. So I'm over halfway home. Right? Ultimately, I would love to step foot on every HBCU campus. That's just one of those bucket list things, since I've gotten this far along organically. Wasn't even something that I planned, but I just sat down one day. It's like, been there, haven't been there, had opportunity to go there, but didn't do it. So now it was organic at first. Now I'm kind of becoming intentional about trying to step foot on these other HBCU campuses. And these players do the same. They want to experience Delaware State. They want to experience Norfolk, Hampton, FAMU, the classics, the Circle City Classic, or whatever classic it is. That's part of why these players chose that school. And once they got there, for them not to get that opportunity for their entire career, makes those players probably had to do some soul searching. Do I still want to be here? And I know you lost some athletes to other HBCUs.
Yeah. He also said something very poignant as well. He said after winning the Celebration Bowl and this being presented, the idea of playing for a national championship amongst all FCS programs, it kind of gave this some light as well. Which I've always said, depending on what your makeup is athletically, competition is always a thing that you could touch when it comes to an athlete. However, understanding what it takes to get to the level of certain other FCS programs is also something you don't necessarily think about as an athlete, but it takes time to develop and do. So I'm glad he actually pointed that out, in that, okay, cool, we get to take on all challenges at this point. And I don't know if you caught this or not, people not necessarily respecting how huge the Celebration Bowl victories were within that as well. Not just saying we the best black champion, but the best overall. So that is always a discussion amongst HBCU banter of who we need to go play. Is this good enough? Is this what we do? it was great to hear the athlete perspective when it comes to that banter as well.
Yeah. Here's the one thing, and I'll leave it to Bryan after this. Jamie, what you just sold was fine for a football player. But what about basketball? What about the renowned track program at A&T, softball, baseball? What about all those other sports that were not competing at that elite level that the football and the track team were at that point in time with the move? So I just question. I would just like to know what the message was to those teams, because obviously what he sold was what was sold to the football team, and that would have been the message if I was administration that I would have been trying to sell to the football team, especially that was coming off of a championship and had championship quality. But some of the other sports that weren't quite at that level,
I got to get
you understand where I'm going.
Oh, go. I understand perfectly. Shout out, we both know Nick Strong, baseball coach. What's the name of the school in Florida?
Florida
and
National,
we've worked with him
right
before.
now.
He made that very point to me when A&T moved. He made that very point to me. What about everybody else? What I will say is A&T has done a really good job as far as increasing what baseball in particular and softball have done. Also, when it comes to the facility moves and the money they're investing into being competitive and being good within the CAA, they've at least put their dollars, are putting dollars to it. I'm an environment guy when it comes to HBCU environments. That's why I love D2 football in particular, because the environments are not just they're family oriented, they're HBCU oriented, they're culturally oriented, and I love those environments. But I understand the moves. I understand the moves by my school. I do. Not that I necessarily like them and want to be. I'll always support my institution, no matter what, through and through, thick and thin. But as far as my preference when it comes to certain spots, I put my dollars to my institution, period. But when you're talking about what I cover in sports, I love D2 institutions. I love HBCU conferences. I just do. So I've always been, in between when it comes to this. But to get that kind of perspective from a player, I always wanted to get it. And it wasn't no thing of I was going to tell them they were wrong for thinking that way, because there have been some alums that have really written down on these players. And you asked the question in the beginning about how much money do you need to give to your institution to have an opinion. If you went to that school, you have a right to have your opinion, regardless of what your status was. So I know we over time. I know we got to talk to coach, so I'm going to shut my mouth.
Well, I'll just add this last point. I find it interesting because when you move up from conference to conference, and I didn't get a chance to ask about the alumni factor, because when we go, for example, when I first went to FAMU, okay, what resonated with me is learning about the history. And you know who the greatest teachers of the history of FAMU football, FAMU athletics are and were? It was the alumni. It was the alumni. Because I wasn't reading it in the newspaper. I wasn't reading it. Back then this was no blogs or anything like this. So where was I going to get the history of the rivalry? It was going to be from the alumni, and even from sport to sport as you learn names. And so I wonder, broader question in my mind is, I'm not going to say that our young people don't care about history. I jokingly sometimes might say that, but they are at an HBCU, which, I love how Joshua Sims is very intentional about that H, right? And so you're there because of what that school is, and it is something historically about us. And so there's a lot of history there. And so when you move conferences and when you move away from your history, who's going to teach? You're rebuilding. Yes, you're rebuilding because you're chasing something new, but you don't have a connection to these other schools. Who's going to build that? Because I don't know. Look, you got alumni and students all learning at the same time. Is that how it's supposed to work? I mean, really, who's teaching who? You relying on media, sports information, the other school to tell you about their program and their history, so that through the one or two games you might play, that all of a sudden you get excited about those games. You know, like the whole Elon thing. I mean, you know, hey, look, I mean, Elon turned out to be a pretty decent team this year, I guess. But I just that was kind of, I'm kind of curious, and I think that's a bigger discussion, maybe another time. Go ahead.
I just want to say this before we go to break, kind of along those lines, to answer your question, O'Brien. There's something about the history of these conferences. You know, we're talking about conferences that have been around. Our youngest conference was the BAC, which is over 50 years old. That is the youngest conference that we have. That is the youngest conference. That is the youngest conference that we have. You know, our other three conferences are well north of 100 years old. There's something about being a part of that. And, you know, and I hate to see it with what's happening with the Pac-12. There's something about that history. There's something about that SEC history, that Big Ten history. There was something lost when it went from the Big 8 to the Big 12. And it was more than a name that was lost with that. You know, there's something about that. And when you go to those institutions that are represented by that conference banner, there's a different sense of pride when you're at those campuses. Remember, I don't think you were in Tallahassee when FSU actually moved from an independent into the ACC. And I grew up as a Florida State fan, but I remember that move, and there was something special about being attached to that conference, the ACC, as a Florida State fan. There was something special about it. You know, we got lucky with FAMU and Bethune because we moved from one historic conference to another. And despite all the shade about us not having SWAC hours, it's like we were still embraced into that SWAC culture, and it was a lot of an easier transition from the MEAC to the SWAC. And but we did have that history with the SWAC because we've consistently played SWAC opponents. I mean, Southern is probably our second biggest rival outside of Bethune.
Yep.
So we had that history. What history does A&T have with anybody, either in the Big South or the CAA? Hell, most of those schools just started playing football within the last 20 to 30 years. Mm-hmm. So that history is not there. At least we went to a place where there was history that we could date rivals back to the 1930s and the 1940s and everything like that. I'm sorry, I'm going off. We way over time on the break.
No, but I'm gonna combat that with something as well. And shout out to Stephen J. Gaither, who always brings this up when it comes to this discussion. The MEAC was developed based on progressive thoughts in moving up a division. So
it was born out of the CIAA. So there was that history right there together already.
Exactly.
Just like the SWAC was born out of the SIAC.
So to think that progress wouldn't approach again is kind of, naive as well. But I understand, and I understand it from that perspective, because it was always going to be schools that thought about other places. So I definitely understand what the history is when it comes to these conferences. But yeah, man, it's a difficult but has to be nuanced discussion about it, because I think at the end of the day, history is important. I know I hang around a lot of SWAC aficionados out there that give me the history every time I ask a question, and I've been able to kind of get that history in my ear. And I respect it. I always respect that. But to think that people aren't always looking to progress in whatever way they deem progress is, it's going to happen, especially in this area of conference churning and capitalism.
Well said. Well said, Jamie. Let's do this. Let's take a break, come back, and transition back to some of the action from the past weekend. Coach Farasi Norman's going to join us, and we're going to get into a few of the top games that he watched, and then we'll kind of keep moving forward as we get a little bit closer to the release of the BCSN top 5 for the 2023 season. So we'll share that with you coming up here very soon. But Coach Farasi on the other side, we'll take a short break. You're watching the BCSN Sports Wrap right here on the Black College Sports Network. Don't go too far.
Supermarket sushi, really?
No. Wait, Troy, you work here?
I'm never not working. Like Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology, up to 100% dandruff protection, even between washes.
Never not working, huh?
Oh, Troy, you're such a good teacher.
Yeah, I know. Never not working. Never not working. Never ever not working.
Are you serious?
Never not working. Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
This is Bryan Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
All right, welcome back to the BCSN Sports Wrap. Bryan and AD here, Jamie Walker, and joining us now, Coach Farasi Norman. Coach, how you doing tonight?
Hey, I'm doing good. How you guys doing?
Good, my man. How you feeling?
Doing well.
Feeling well. Hey, real quick. Let's go back to the beginning segment when Bryan, you said, I think Coach Norman's old school. You are right. I'm Al Green, Johnny Taylor, Lionel Richie, The Temptations, Donna Summer, Diana Ross, Jackson 5, Little Michael Jackson. Yeah, that's me right there. And lately, I've been high on King George. I like that guy a lot.
Okay. I mean, you know, so Coach, you gonna you know, as you work with these young people today, you gonna bring them back to the old school, huh? You gonna try to. Because I don't know if you listen to what kids listen to these days, boy. Sometimes it makes you scratch your head. But
and that's what our parents said about us, Bryan.
You know what? They sure did. They sure did.
You got to be able to listen to what the kids are listening to these days. I still love Tupac and Biggie, and everything like that. But I listen to some of what the guys are doing these days to just keep in touch. You don't ever want to get too out of touch with your athletes. So I don't listen to a whole lot of it, but I do listen to a little of it. I don't like some of the lyrics that they talk about. I still think, like I say, Tupac and Biggie had a message. I haven't seen that since their demise. Rest in peace, both brothers. But I do listen to what they talk about. But I still go old school. The other day I heard one kid say Patrick Mahomes, best quarterback of all time. I said, whoa. You don't know your history, brother. You don't know your history. You know what I'm saying? I said, nothing against Patrick Mahomes. He's a player. They got 20 guys in front of him.
Quarterback.
You know what I'm saying? They got 20 guys in front of him. Everything like that. And then my nephew plays running back. And so he always likes to talk about the modern day running back. And I'm like, nephew. So I told him this. I said, nephew, go Google Jim Brown.
There it is.
Ernie Davis, Al Zonka. I said, go look up Eric Dickerson. you know, saying like that. And he just looked at me real funny. I said, so, buddy, you don't, Tony Dorsett. You know, I'm not a Cowboys fan, but you had to love respect. I mean, I said, buddy, so there's so many that's in front. I said, before you had now, you had a past. That's what we forget about these young kids these days. They don't go back. They just go from here and they go forward. I'm saying, whoa. We can never forget about there. You know, that's why I still bring up the old school. I still bring, like, even at our practice, if I make it back to up front, you come to one of my practices, you're going to be like, is Coach got the Temptations on? And everybody looking around like, oh, yeah. Coach got the Temptations on? Everything like that. So, but, yeah, I'm very old school. Just throw it out there real quickly. I'll be 51 next Saturday. Yay.
All right. Yeah.
Hey,
Happy birthday.
Hey, hold on. What is something sweet about seeing Eric Dixon once he got to that second and third level, how sweet he used to run, and it seemed like his head never moved as he was running for those touchdowns. There was something sweet about the way he ran that ball. But I got to ask you this, Coach. I need you to pull out your Coach Prime for a second. Yeah, this is our mandatory Coach Prime reference in the show, and we got to do it. What's gonna be your theme music when you get back to the sideline, Coach? What's gonna be your theme music before you come out?
Remember the song "Mystical"? There I go. Oh, there I go. There I go. That Mystical. That's me right there.
Oh,
yeah. There you go. So that'd be my theme music right there.
All right, go ahead, Bryan. I'm sorry, I had to jump in.
That's all right. That's all right. I was just looking at something in the chats and shaking my head. That's the funny thing. Football, when you pay attention to the history of football, it reveals, it tells itself. You know, and I think you can almost see things coming a mile away if you're really paying attention. You know, I'm just, talking about college, whether it be college football or pro football. You almost know when something is too good. Put it like this: if something is too good to be true, it probably is. And so, Coach mentioned the Cowboys, but I know if you were out there, if you were a Cowboy fan, you had to know today was a trap day. It was shaped. I tweeted it out. The way I saw the 1:00 games go, something just told me this feels like a trap game for the Cowboys. And sure enough, they went into Arizona. They got beat by a team that everybody thought was going to lose lose a bunch of games this season. And the Cowboys do what they do. They only put up 16 points. And so tomorrow, everyone will be lamenting over how bad the Cowboys are. But anyway, I digress. I don't want to spin the show. Look, I don't care. My team's won. I went 2-0. Actually 4-0. My high schools won. My college team won. My alma mater, I should say, won, and my pro team won. So I'm having a good weekend. I'm gonna celebrate. Coach, let's get into talking about some of the games that you watched, and you got a chance to watch a little bit of the game that was right here on the Black College Sports Network between unbeaten Tuskegee, still unbeaten 4-0. And Lane winless, but they pushed Tuskegee to the max. What was your of Tuskegee and or Lane as you watched that game?
I was only able to see the first half because I had to switch over and watch the Grambling. Who did Grambling play? Texas Southern game. So, but what I saw the first half, I was impressed with. Let me start by saying Lane has 3 true freshmen up front. That's very, very impressive. That you could put 3 kids fresh out of high school up front in a college football game. And they didn't play bad. They didn't play bad. So by the time them brothers are juniors, I believe they're going to have a strong, strong offensive line. And I'd love to be that running back and quarterback behind that group. Tuskegee, that running back, since we're talking about running back, that running back looked good, brother. Right before, with the end of the first, going to the second, he had like a 10, 12-yard run and the hole just opened up like the Red Sea. I mean, that was beautiful on the offensive line part. He did his job as a running back. I thought the quarterback threw the ball from Tuskegee. I thought he threw the ball pretty well. I thought going back over to Lane, I thought they were okay. But like I said, they got 3 true freshmen up front. So I thought they ran the ball adequately. Excuse me, I hope that's correct. Not very just strong, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad to have 3 true freshmen up front. I thought they were doing pretty good. And once again, I'm thinking as a coach, by the time these guys are juniors, hey man, sky's the limit, and everything like that. Back to Tuskegee. Right before I clicked over, I think it was 14-0. I don't know the rest of the game or something like that because I went to go pay attention to another game. But I saw Tuskegee, once again, I thought that running back, they gave him like 5-6 carries in a row, and he just went straight downhill. It was not nothing backwards. I didn't see any quarterback sacks, which speaks highly of both offensive lines. That running back Tuskegee was just, I like that guy. I don't know his name or anything like that, but I thought he was impressive. I was like, wow, I'm going to try to see him again. I think they got a game this weekend coming up. I'm going to try to watch, but he was really impressive to watch. But offensive line-wise, I was very impressed with both sides for the first half.
Yeah.
Hey, Coach, true story. I coached a defensive back when they were, now you talk about Pee Wee ball, little league ball. I coached a defensive back on both sides of both of those teams, both on the Tuskegee team and the Lane team, who competed against each other in that game on Saturday.
Okay, cool.
And you're probably the two primary running backs for Tuskegee, Zena Mulba, who had 9 carries for 55 net yards and 1 touchdown. And then Johnny Morris, 10 carries, net 55 yards and a touchdown as well. So both of them averaging over 5.5 to 6 yards carry in total. Tuskegee ran for a total of 168 yards, Lane 199. Actually, it's one of those games where Lane dominated statistics. They had more passing yards, more rushing yards. Neither team lost any fumbles. 2 interceptions by Lane might have been the primary difference, when it all settles out. Because Tuskegee did win the turnover battle with 2 picks. And so those are the little things that kind of give you that opportunity, right? And Tuskegee found a way to win in overtime. Not only their defense stepped up there in overtime to secure the 28-22 win. Drew, who's Tuskegee got next week? Or are they on a bye? No, they got Alabama A&M. They're traveling. That's
homecoming. Yeah, we get to play homecoming spoilers.
Yeah, that's going to be real interesting to talk about. All right, let's go over to Grambling State, their second home game of the season, and they're taking on. Now, I'm not going to say Florida Memorial was a wounded team last week, but look, we all knew that's an NAIA team. They weren't going to come to Grambling. They shouldn't have come to Grambling and done major damage. And look, Grambling was a 5-point favorite, taking on Texas Southern, who was without Andrew Body. That's all you needed to know. Coach Grambling ends up getting a 35-23 win, rushed for 282 yards as a team. What was your thoughts on what you saw?
Hey, Bryan, keep it fact. Grambling was out of his top 2. Texas Southern was out of his top 2 quarterbacks with the injured Body, and then their number 2 entering the portal last week also. So they were down to the number 3 on the preseason depth.
Wait a minute, is that the kid who played? So after he played, did he hit the portal? Is that what happened?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh my! And it was only 5 points.
Got some film and dip.
Had I not known that, Drew, that was a bet the mortgage game, and I'm mad I didn't know about it. But anyway, man,
hey, he got some film, Bryan. He did what he needed to do.
I don't know.
I'm sorry, Coach. Go ahead.
Stats. I don't know what he did. So, but anyway, go ahead, Coach. What'd you see from Grambling in that contest?
I saw the beginning of the game. I saw Grambling run that ball very well. They got 3 deep running backs. They can go and not lose anything. I was very impressed with that. They got a big offensive line. Grambling's always had a big line. So they ran the ball very well. They threw it well. And then against that quarterback, they got good receivers. But that running game looked real good. Like I said, they can go 3 deep. I was disappointed with all the penalties, though. They had a lot of penalties. Number 71, if I'm not mistaken, can't remember if he's a guard or a tackle. He had 3 penalties in a row. He had like an offsides. Then he was holding. Then he had a hands to the face. And I'm thinking, bro, young man, what you doing? And everything like that. And then one time, Graham was getting ready to go score, and they had like 3 penalties in a row to come backwards. And I'm just thinking, you don't want to embarrass yourself or university, but my team would already know Coach Norman's not very happy. When we work on that in practice so that doesn't happen. But they had a lot of penalties, man. And I think that's one reason why Texas Southern was still able to stay with them, because they should have put 2 or 3 more touchdowns on them boys. Nothing against Texas Southern. But, I mean, the way they were running that ball was just impressive. I mean, once again, anytime you can go 3 deep and not lose anything, usually there's a big difference between 1 and 2 and 2 and 3. I didn't see a difference between any one of them brothers when they got back there, which goes a tribute to the big fellas up front. They were blocking. Texas Southern, like I said, I saw the quarterback when he entered the portal. I did not know, and I'm a coach, I did not know you can enter the portal now. I thought that's something you do during the offseason. So when I seen that, I thought that was a misprint. So I appreciate you, AD, for letting me know that he really did get out of there, got him some film and left. Wish Andrew Body a speedy recovery. They had some mistakes early. Like, I remember one play, you see I ain't got no hair, but I'd have been pulling my hair out. It was a great job up front. Good pass blocking, butt down, hands up, hands in the chest like you want it. Okay, they had the U, what you want. Boom. Quarterback stepped up. He had time to drink tea, slice the cake, and threw the ball. They got a tall, thin receiver. I don't know his name. If you guys saw this game, you know what I'm talking about. He's open, ball's in his hand, and he drops it. All you gotta do is catch it and walk into the end zone, brother. See, me, I teach my team. That's been between a ball game. That's been between a ball game right there. That's winning and losing, fellas. You know, and then he stood there and did some semantics. He hit his helmet and beat on his chest. I'm like, what's all that for? You already dropped the ball. Come on back. You know, they had some key drop passes that quarterback they had. So I guess he's a third stringer. So if he was third string, he was playing pretty well. You know, once again, Sack didn't come in until like late in the fourth quarter. So that goes, once again, tribute to the boys up front. You know, number 22, their running back, he ran hard. I like him. You know, I like him. I mean, he liked what I mean, 2 hands over the football. He wasn't, I call it dancing when you're in the backfield moving left, right. He was hitting the hole. He hit the holes. He got what he could. He had no good long runs or anything like that, but he was 4 or 5 yards a pop. Bryan, you can probably see what his stats were, something like that. But I think he had a good game on the ground. So I like that young man there. I think the quarterback, he did what he could do. I mean, once again, the guys gave him protection up front. He had some key drops, though. Back to Grambling. Penalties. And Coach Walker, I hear you're a big Grambling fan, and that's fine. You know, I'm an Eddie Robson fan. I got nothing against Grambling. But they got to clean those penalties up, brother. If they clean those penalties up, I think they got a pretty good team. Defensively, they didn't tackle very well. And even Hugh Jackson, at halftime, he told the commentator, we got to do a better job tackling. And I'm thinking, well, that's what you got practice for. That's what you had spring ball for. That's what you had fall ball for. That's what you practice for. I mean, me, myself, we start off every 15 minutes, sideline to sideline, pursuit drills, wrapping up. We don't go to the ground, but we wrap up. So we're used to touching somebody every day. So when we come to the game, this ain't nothing new. A lot of times these days, teams are so-called, concussion protocol. They're scared. I'm just going to be real about it. When I was at Arizona Christian, our coach wouldn't let us hit until game day. And I'm like, Coach, how are we supposed to? And our tackling for the first quarter and a half was horrible. And then later in the third, fourth, we got a little better. That's because he wouldn't let us hit in practice. And I'm thinking, wow. So me, I don't do that. Now, we wrap up. We ain't going to the ground. We ain't like I say, I'm old school, but I do know how to control my practices and everything like that. So we're going to wrap up and get used to wrapping somebody up every day. But Grandma's got to get better on defense, and they got to kill those penalties. And I think over the next, 6 weeks to go, I think over the next 6 weeks, they can do something. If not, it's not going to look no better than it was last year. And but they got big linemen. They got good backs. So run the ball. We know he's a passing guy. He was an ex-quarterback. He was pretty good from what I understand. He likes to throw the ball, but their strength is in that run game. Back to Texas Southern.
Hold on a second. Let me jump in with one. I know Jamie's smiling because that's, you know, great. You mentioned Grambling. That's his quiet keeper. I'm gonna throw it to you in a second, Jamie. When you hear coaches say they got to do a better job of tackling, and I'd like to think, you know, what Drew is kind of like the basketball equivalent of we need to make free throws. Well, we probably all practice free throws, but what if a team is having a bad day tackling? What, if anything, can you attribute it to, Coach?
Practice, not getting it done in practice, going soft, low tempo. Coach is not getting on butts. You know, like I said, you know, I'm not the yell scream type guy, but if you're not giving me what I want, I'm going to be heard. I'm pretty sure you guys all understand what I'm saying. Anybody listen to what I'm saying? I'm not the guy who just wakes up screaming 4 explicit lyric words. That's not me. That's not coaching, everything like that. But if we're not giving me what I want, I'm going to be heard. And so I can only tell the D coordinator, I don't know who he is, but you got talent on that side of the ball. You got size, strength, you got speed. You know, it's HBCU, so you automatically going to have that. But brother, you got to get better at tackling, because if not, it's going to be a long next 6 weeks. That run game can only carry you for so far. So like I say, they got a good team. I saw some good things out there, but they got to clean that tackling up, and then penalties. They got to go back to old school. They got to start pushing the sled again. They got to go back to one-on-one drills. They got to go inside run, all those things that make them hands inside, because I saw some holding, the hands to the face. That's stuff that you work on in camp. So this is week 4 going into 5. That shouldn't be happening, but it was happening a lot. So you got to clean that up and get ready to move forward.
11 penalties for 98 yards. Jamie, go ahead. I know you're happy. You're hearing good things about Grambling. Go ahead.
Nah, coach is spot on when it comes to just what the team has to do, and I think Coach Jackson reflected that at the halftime comments. Grambling's been my dark horse. I'm not gonna say only because, but primarily because the way their team shaped up the last year going into this year, really all they needed was not necessarily outstanding quarterback play, but just competent quarterback play. Deliver the ball where it needs to go. And I think you saw some of that within the game, including the running game. But shoring up the trench play was something that they need to happen, or to have happen anyway. What do you see, or what other things did you see within the game that can that would lead you to believe that they are very capable of winning the West?
The offensive line, the way they exploded, the way they opened holes. The running back, the way you can go 1, 2, 3 and not lose anything. The quarterback, he threw the ball very well. He's a good kid. I don't know his name, but he's a good quarterback. Defensively, like I say, they made some plays. I've seen some hits out there. I seen one play where the guy from Texas Southern came across the middle, and it looked like some Ed Reed, Ronnie Lott, once again, old school type stuff. I mean, it was a pop, and I'm like, I like that. You know, Nowadays they're like, oh, he's got to go out the game and 3 penalties. I'm like, no, that's football. That's football, but it's changing. But I saw that. You know, so they got some talents there, and they got what you need. They just need to clean it up. And it comes from the head coach. Me being a head coach, none against Hugh Jackson. You know, I support black coaches and black quarterbacks. Everybody knows that. But Hugh's got to clean that up. He's got to clean that up. So for the next 6 weeks, because they got a shot right now. It's still early. You know, they got a shot right now. Back to Texas Southern. Big line. We all miss Andrew Body. That quarterback, I thought he's doing pretty good. I'd stick with him. I thought he threw the ball well. The head coach and the receiver coach got to say, we got to just work on catching the ball, because I saw 5 or 6 good drops. I'm talking about in the hand, in the chest drop. Come on. This ain't Little League. This is college. We're trying to win games here. Once again, the thing that sticks out in my mind is that one play. Wide open. He's got 3 steps on the DB. Ball's in his hand, and he dropped it. Whoa. Okay. And that number 22, I mean, as a running back, I mean, he's got a big line as an ex-running back. That's what we look for, big fellas up front. And they did their job. So he had a steady run game like that. Answer your question, Coach Walker, Coach Jackson, he cleans up the penalties. He gets with that O-line, puts them through some more. Let's go back to camp and get some drills going and do some pursuit drills on defense. I think Gramblin's going to have something to say in the SWAC this year. I really, really do. Oh, and it just came through. My Seahawks won.
Yes. Yeah, I was happy about that. Anyway. Drew knows. Grambling, number 1 rushing offense in the SWAC, averaging 179 yards a game, averaging 5 yards a carry, 9 rushing touchdowns. That's the number one rush. And it puts them right there as the number 1 offense in the SWAC, right ahead of FAMU at 397.5 per game.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, look, hey, Grambling's got a nice balance. They like 716 rushing, 874 passing, a total of 1590. But you know, I think it's the average per game. And they've actually scored the most touchdowns. Now, you know, you have Florida Memorial on there, so you can thank them for a lot of those stats. But I'm just saying.
Before we go forward, Brian, I want to. You said something about the NAIA going to Grambling. You know, I'm an NAIA guy. I'm a Langston man. Back in fall 1996, the weekend that Tupac was shot in Vegas, me and my boys went to Grambling. And we pulled out a victory, biggest win in school history. I was so proud to be a part of that. There, after the game, I ran over. I shook Eddie Robinson's hand, and I looked him eye to eye, and I said, "Thank you for what you do for young black men." And he looked at me, he kind of smirked. He says, "No problem, young man." And he had the 2 police officers, they escorted him off and everything like that. I tell you, I didn't want to wash my hand. I'm like, I just shook hands with Eddie Robinson. Hey, I just shook hands with Eddie Robinson. I'm holding my hand like, hey, I just shook hands with Eddie Robinson, everything like that. So, but yeah, let's don't discredit the NAIAs and everything like that, because we did beat. That was the biggest win in school history, and Grambling had a good team that year. And
you know what? If Florida Memorial would have beaten Grambling State fans would have lost their minds. So that's all. You know that, and I know that. That's all I was really kind of pointing out. No,
I got you.
Florida Memorial. That's really how that works, and so that's why when you play those games the way they're set up, it's potentially a lose for both sides. Depending upon how the outcome rolls. All right, the other game, Jackson State home opener in front of 44,000 fans. Beautiful crowd there at the Vet, and they get a 22-16 win. Have to actually do it. Trailed 9-8 at the half to Bethune. Coach Woody almost got the first conference win of his career. What'd you see from Bethune or Jackson State, Coach?
For a while, it looked like a baseball soccer game. It was 2-0 for a while. Then it was like 3-2. Then it was like 6-2. Then it was like 8-6. I was like, am I watching? What's going on with the scoreboard? Somebody let me know something here. Jackson State did not look like the same Jackson State they did several weeks ago when they played South Carolina State. That game there, they looked like Superman. They beat on their chest. They had energy, enthusiasm, and of course we all saw them go pull off a big win. Yesterday, they just seemed like they were. They didn't look discombobulated or confused, but they didn't look energized. They didn't look like, hey, they didn't look like the team they had 4 weeks ago. They ran the ball adequately. Their line did a good job. Quarterback did a good job. Defensively, gave up some plays. Got to clean that up. That comes with practice. But the only thing I really saw from Jackson State, because like I say, when you're looking at the score, it's 2-0, then it's 3-2. Then I'm just thinking, where's the energy at? Where's the energy at? And that comes from T.C. Taylor. Him being a first-year guy, he's got to know how to energize his team at any moment. Any moment. And if you have to call a timeout and get everybody together and, say some things that we as coaches say, then you have to say that. Because it took a while before they just picked. I think it was like late third, then you got to see some running game going. And you got to see some good passes going. Then they start to look energized. But I'm thinking for about 3.5 quarters, they didn't look right. Bethune, very impressed with Bethune. Of course, they went to transition from the coach and the Ed Reed and the guy they got now. A lot of truth. I think they said they had like 30-some new faces on the roster. But I was impressed with Bethune. Really, I was. They got a big line. They ran the ball adequately. They threw the ball adequately. They didn't give up. They fought. They fought. And like I say, for 3.5, 4 quarters. Not 4 quarters. I'm gonna say for about 3.5, they were right there. Then I'm thinking Jackson State late in that third, early fourth. They started to put it together, put a couple tugs on the scoreboard. When I say tugs, I mean touchdown. That's coaching talk. So, but like I say, I was very impressed with their coaching staff because them young brothers played football for 4 quarters, and that's what you want from a new group, new coaching staff, new group. I'm sure you want to win the game. We all like winning, but the fact that they played for 4 quarters, I was very impressed with Bethune, and I got no doubt that they're going to shock somebody. Bethune's going to be that team. Later in the year, you're getting ready to play for a championship, but you got to win this game to play for it. You can't go in there thinking, we're going to knock these guys off because they're going to play football. They're going to play football.
I got a game they can win.
Talk to me.
Oh, God. Look, I was going to ask you or Drew because that sounds very similar to UAPB. So I was going to say, who's going to shock somebody first, Bethune or UAPB? Because, those are the 2 teams that everyone is loving to call upset killers right now. But what game, Jamie? We're interested to hear. Go ahead.
Oh, you know what game for 9 years straight.
God.
Listen. Bethune can look crazy. And up until last year, but they could look horrible, but they'll win the Florida Classic all of a sudden.
Last 2 years. Who's
the Florida Classic? Talk to me.
Them and FAMU.
That's the.
Oh, come on, Coach Walker. Nah. But Coach Simmons and his boys will be ready for that game. Now, once again, I think Bethune they'll go out there and fight. They're gonna throw some left, rights, and some uppercuts, but I don't see it happening.
Yes.
But I agree 100% with what you were saying about Bethune. I was impressed, not necessarily with them offensively, but just the way that team kind of galvanized and went toe to toe. That's an intimidating place, and I think it was Jackson State's first home game, so you expected the crowd to be raucous and all of that. And Bethune showed me some things, showed me that they're at least headed in the right direction. So kudos to that coaching staff, Coach Woody and others.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And like I say, who we talking about? Bethune and Texas Southern?
Jackson State.
Jackson State, my fault, brother. Thank you. Jackson State, once again, they need to come back with their energy. In Texas, they got a thing called mojo. They need to go find a mojo. Because that first game against South Carolina State, I was like, whoa, okay. And we talked about it. If you take number 4 and put 2 on, do we see a difference between the quarterbacks? Do we see a difference in the defense? But now I think you do see a difference. They're not playing like they did. I don't know what was about that game. Maybe it was the first game. Maybe they just want to say, hey, we want to prove everybody that TC Taylor's our coach or whatnot. But they didn't have the same energy. I mean, even though they won the game in front of that large crowd, they always get good crowds over there. They got good fan support. But they need to go find that. They need to go find that energy back because, once again, you still got 6 games to go. And they're a good team. I got nothing against them, everything like that. But they need to find that energy. Otherwise, you're gonna get disappointed because somebody's gonna come get you late in the fourth.
Hey, what's really interesting is in that Grambling State game, you saw 2 really good backs. I mean, Chance Williams and Floyd Chalk, both sophomores for Grambling. I think Williams is the one who ran for 170. Just pulling up the individuals. Yeah, 174 net. Then in the Jackson State game, you had Irv Mulligan, who on 21 carries, he ran for net 174 as well.
Yeah, that's number 22.
For Jackson State. What's Mulligan's number? Isn't it single digit? It's a single digit number for Jackson State.
Yeah, it's 5. 5. Number 5.
Yeah, he had a touchdown on 174 yards, but I get, so in terms of 2 of the top rushing performances, but again, when you run for 260 net rushing yards and 284 like Grambling did, I mean, you're doing something right up front in the trenches.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I know I'm curious to see the highs and lows. I think Jackson State was very up for the first game of the season. They're probably up for Southern. And so they've kind of been on this high, low. The question is, who's that? Let's see. I think they got a bye week finally. And then, which is probably good timing for them because it's the next game that you got to avoid. Because let's just say if they had to play this week, that would have been a game you say, okay, well, are they going to come out flat like they've done the last 2 times after
2 games? Yes, sir.
Or are they going to put consecutive wins together? And that's what I think. Unfortunately, you got a bye week, so I know that's what Coach Taylor is going to look at. Drew, you got anything you want to run through with Coach before we find out where he's going to be watching for week 5? You're on mute.
Drew.
My bad.
You okay?
I don't know if you got a chance to watch the FAMU Alabama State game, but if you did, there was one thing that I noticed, and there was a lot of chippiness, talking, and even some penalties, unsportsmanlike, personal fouls, and unsportsmanlike for diarrhea in the mouth, as I like to call it, out there on the field, and a lot of things going on. When you obviously no team, at least as far as the coach knows, because players talk like how they want to in the locker room when the coach is on around. But you don't go in with a game plan necessarily to do all that type of stuff. But the referee's going to flag you for anything. You want to intimidate them, but you want to intimidate your opponent in the right way. When you see a game starting to go down that road that you're coaching, especially when you're trailing in the game, what do you do to correct it? Or is it something that can be corrected on the sideline or at halftime when it's going? Because you don't want to take their intensity and everything away from them. But at the same time, son, you just cost me 15. So you just gave them a first down because you did something stupid after the play, or you running your mouth. So what do you do to control that?
Mistakes are going to be made. I tell my team I'd rather make them in practice than a game. But if I have a player and he makes one mistake, that's to be happy. It's called football. We got to keep playing. He makes another mistake. I tell my boys all the time, we don't talk to the opposition and we don't talk to the referees. Let me do that. I'm the head coach. So if I do see you talk to the referee, you have to have a seat. If I see you jaw jacking with another player, you have to have a seat because we talk with our helmet, shoulder pads, and the way we play the game called football. From the shoulder pads to the helmets, we hit folks. We stay away from the heads. I tell my boys, we're not cowards. We're not hitting anybody in the head. We go shoulder pads to the ankles, and we light people up like Christmas trees. But if you out there jaw jacking, they're telling me, Coach, I don't really want to play, so come have a seat. And I find somebody else. That's why I remember a couple weeks ago when I said, we look at our two deep, say, okay, who's that? Okay, who's that? Because in case you do have something like that, you got a starter, and he's a player, but he wants to go against the grain, sit him down. Sit him down. You ain't got time to babysit during the game because you still got a coach. So you just sit him down, and you just look at him with that look. And everybody knows that look like, uh-oh. And then somebody's going to like, man, you in trouble. You in trouble. So if it's a away game, you wait until you get back home. It's after game. Once you go and you talk your speech and you just tell everybody, for example, Farasi Norman, let me see him office, please. And the way you say it, Farasi already knows he's in big trouble. He's in big trouble. And that's how you address that situation there. You don't try to throw your helmet. You don't try to throw your headset or your hat off. Once again, you represent yourself in the university in that community. But you try to address those situations before it happens, but it happens. It's football. It happens. Young men, they big, they buff, they muscular. Testosterone's bumping. It's a football game. So once again, you just let them know the first time. Like you just say, hey, young man, you just cost us. Stop that. Cut that out. He does it again, bring him out. And as he's coming out, you get his number, Farasi, and he look up at you, and you just give him that look. And he knows, go have a seat, and got to wait till Monday to get back in there because obviously you wasn't playing very well. The jaw jacking, once again, that comes with football from any era, from old school till currently. But as the head coach, you try to address it early. Let them know there's going to be a penalty. On Monday, we got some up downs, some bear crawls, some gassers, everything like that, because that's not how we represent this football team or this community or this university. But it's going to happen. So as the head coach, you have to address it. You have to address it quickly. Once again, the first time somebody's jaw jacking, if you go back, they have a film of me, and I had two kids from Arkansas, players. And we were playing, it was a small college in Texas, can't think of a night right now, but they were back there playing very well with jaw jacking. So at halftime, they did a documentary on me, and I had some expressive lyrics, but I told them, I said, hey, I told you guys from the gate, I don't want that on my football field. And they just looked at me like, I said, if you do it again, your butt will be sitting down and everything like that. My fault,
We understand, Coach.
Everything like that. So, but you have to address the situation, and hopefully the kid responds. If not, sit him, everything like that. But I've coached basketball, and I know Bryan's a basketball coach, and it happens. So you have to be able to address the situation, but it's how you address it. You don't go off and throw your headset and go on. Because coach, you're the coach. Someone's got to stay professional here. That's got to be you. But you let that kid know, buddy, that's not how we do things. We've talked about this. So we'll address it during practice on Monday. You'll see me, and trust me, you won't want to do it again. If you do it, you won't want to do it again.
I got you. Last one I got for you, Coach.
Talk to me, brother.
I don't know if you saw the Jackson State game. I believe it was their second string. You see the kicker or punter? I can't remember which one it was. If one of you guys can help me remember, but that person got hurt in the game. So in theory, they were on their number 3 kicker, who happened to be a first female to play football for Jackson State. But we're not focusing on the female portion of it. What I'm focusing on is when you're at your number 3, especially a position as important as your kicker, because either that person flips the field for you or is putting points on the scoreboard for you. How does that influence your play calling on 3rd and 4th down? Okay, look, we know we need to go forward. We got 2 downs to get it, so we can run a little bit more conservatively, or we need to get it because we don't want to be in the 4th and long. And we down at the 25-yard line. Normally I could send out number whatever who can give me at least 3 if we don't get it on this play. But now I've got to change my play calling because I've got to get this first down because it's either touchdown or bust. How does it real time? How does that affect your play calling, Coach?
It affects you because the third kicker ain't really getting no practice time. He's over there throwing water, giggling, keeping the team upbeat in practice, something like that. You don't really practice the third kicker, anything sort of like that. So it affects you, but you do know what the individual can do.
And let me throw this out. And I can't remember which game I was watching, but they were on either the second or the third kicker. But that person who was kicking was actually the long snapper. So not only do you have a backup or a third string kicker, but you've got your backup long snapper snapping to the backup kicker. I can't remember which game I was watching because I watched about 4 or 5 games this weekend. But there was some game that situation occurred this Saturday.
And in practice, you try to give everybody a shot. Like, so if you got 3 kickers, you let everybody kick a 25, 30, a 40, or 50. So you actually do know who can do what in case that situation comes to. But more than likely, as a head coach, I'm not putting any eggs in the third kicker's basket. That's not fair. Because game is 20-21. We kick this, we go up 23-21, we win. If we miss it, then everybody's mad at this kicker, but he's only kicked maybe twice this season, so it's not fair. So I, as a coach, got to come up with another game plan, everything sort of like that. And I tell the young man, hey, nothing against you. I love you. We're going to get you some more kicks this week because we come back to this situation next week. I'm dang sure going to depend on you to put it through the upright. But as a head coach, I'm not dependent on a third string kicker or a long snapper moving back to the kicker, even though you made some in practice. Practice is different than the game. Practice is nice, comfortable. Everybody's beating on their chest, and boom, you might kick a 50. But now we talking about W's and L's, and so I got to win the game. So I'm just going to come up with I'm probably going to run to a double tight I formation and run downhill. That's Farasi Norman speaking.
All right. Coach, this upcoming weekend, week 5, of course, coming up a little bit later, the BCSN top 5. So we finally released top 5 rankings. No more preseason stuff. Who you watching this upcoming weekend? Where you gonna be at? What are you gonna be watching?
I'm gonna watch HBCU go. Who's AD? Help me out. Who's Tuskegee playing? 'Cause that's what's on TV.
Alabama A&M.
Alabama
A&M. I'm gonna watch that game, Bryan. Okay, I'm gonna watch that game, and then who's Southern got? I think they got somebody, right? That's on ESPN Plus, and I think they're like a 2-hour difference. So I can watch one game, get 30 minutes, and go watch the other game. But I'm gonna get 2 games in this weekend, and I'm thinking of making
Southern has Pine Bluff.
Okay. So those are the games, Bryan, that I'll be watching. I'll get with you on Wednesday to solidify them. You and AD, I'll text you guys. But I'm definitely gonna watch Tuskegee because, like I say, it's homecoming, and I was just very impressed with Tuskegee's running back. Once I find a running back I'm impressed with, I like to watch that brother.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting matchup. I won't be. I will talk predictions later in the show, but I won't be surprised by anything Tuskegee does in this game. Put it like that. So maybe that I'm tipping my hand on which way I may be leaning, but we'll see. We'll see, and I think a lot of it will come into those players, Drew, that you mentioned who were out, whether those guys are back or not. But I think that'll be interesting.
If they come back or not, everyone always plays hard for homecoming. I've never seen anybody not play hard for
Alabama
homecoming.
A&M's homecoming.
But it's
it's Alabama A&M's homecoming. Okay. Well, then, then ain't gonna be a spoiler. So we, in the locker room, we're saying I was always told make their homecoming your homecoming. I'm
interested in what kind of crowd is gonna be there because Tuskegee travels, and so I'm thinking whatever allotment of tickets Tuskegee gets, I think there'll be a lot of.
They already gone, Bryan. They probably already gone.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I expect a good Tuskegee crowd on a side of the field where usually there's a lot of empty seats, at least according to what I keep seeing on TV. That's all I'm saying.
That was Thursday night, Bryan. I told you wasn't nobody gonna be there on the Thursday.
I know. We'll talk about that here on the other side. All right, Coach, man, we appreciate your time tonight. Let people know where they can find you on Twitter or X, as it's now called.
At Coach Farasi. You can email at coachfarasi@gmail.com. I appreciate everybody who's been helping me out. When I first started with these brothers a couple weeks back, I had single-digit followers. Now I'm over 600. Thank you. I thank Bryan. I thank AD, and I thank everybody who's Xing me, tweeting me, whatever you want to call it. I'm getting emails a lot. So, I mean, I've always got emails, but I'm getting more. Every day I wake up, I got 10, 12 emails. So I appreciate you guys and your support. And, hey, look forward to working with these young men. And Bryan and AD, I'll contact you guys by Wednesday to solidify those games. And look forward, like I said, putting the band back together next Sunday because we play good music.
Coach, appreciate you, man. Thank you, Coach.
All right, brother. Y'all be safe now.
All right. Take care.
All right, Coach.
All right, Coach Farasi, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for good to have Coach in there. All right, let's do this. Let's take a short break. Come back. Got a few talking points to get into. See how quickly we can get into them and debut the top 5. Is the top 5 ready to release, Drew? Is it ready to release?
It is ready. You can download it now.
It is time to release the top 5. Yep. Wait till you see it, Jamie. You be shaking your head even a little bit more.
He's got it.
Oh, he's already seen it. He's already seen it.
Yes.
He was copied on the email.
Yeah, exactly. Woo, boy, it's gonna be hot. All right, hang in there. We'll be back in just a moment with the a few commentary and the BCSN top 5, and start looking ahead at what's to come for week number 5 in HBCU football. We'll be back in just a moment.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
All right, welcome back to the BCSN Sports Wrap. Bryan, AD, Jamie Walker joining us. Okay. Yeah. Huh, interesting. I was thinking about something as it relates to this Sunday night football game. Okay. I want to share something with you real quick, and I'm curious. You guys tell me. Well, there's a couple of news and notes here. Actually, let's back up. Let's do this. We didn't talk any about FCS games quickly, so let's kind of just quickly run through our top FCS games from over the weekend. Jamie and then Drew, top FCS games from the weekend.
Ooh. Drew, you got yours in mind first? Let me think. Top FCS.
FCS games of.
I love that you guys look
week.
at the show script. You know, but I try to help y'all out.
You got to start down in Tallahassee. the anticipated game between Florida A&M and Alabama State defensively lived up to be a great battle defensively. Offense left a lot to be desired. I love Coach Willie Simmons, but I've got to question some of his play calling throughout that game, both early and late. Thought it was interesting. There was an officiating snafu in that game.
More than one.
Yeah, the one that sticks out in my mind, and you and I talked about this pre-show, Brian, is the one when there was a pass behind the line. It was a pass out to the receiver, and from where the line judge was at, he looks like he was shielded. He was straight line, and he assumed that the player caught the ball and then fumbled the ball, where it was clear as day from the video that he never had possession of the ball. And it was, of course, we had the fumble and all that kind of stuff. And Coach Simmons had to literally take a time out to, I don't even know if he officially challenged, but he took the time out for them to go long enough to look at that and realize that it was not a fumble. And the officiating snafu comes a couple of ways. Obviously, if he thought the pass was a lateral, there's no way in hell when the quarterback is standing on the 45-yard line and the ball is thrown to the 42-yard line and thrown to the 42-yard line going in. So that's at least 2 to 3 yards in front of the quarterback. Number one. Number two, clear as day, he never possessed the ball. Right there. I understand you let the play out, and then you could always go to replay. But I thought on a turnover, it was an automatic review of the play. That did not occur right away. Willie Simmons had to literally get out on the field and beg for the review. And then when they went to the review, it was clear as day what happened. So I thought that was one officiating snafu in that game that could have changed the momentum of the game if that had not been corrected, because Alabama State would have had the opportunity to score. And then there was another one at the end of the game, fumble, non-fumble, et cetera, Alabama State. When, let's be real, we talk about the play calling. Fam, you should have been running the damn ball up the gut. Wasn't quite time to take a knee, I don't think, if I remember right. I think there was too much time on the clock to go into victory formation, which, fam, you never did. I don't. Totally different subject right there.
Yeah, that's a whole nother story we could get.
But even if you don't go into victory formation, you running 21, 22 dive. You know, it's real simple. You're not even doing RPO. Did we see that in a game where we saw a team that lost a game trying to run an RPO at the end of a game? Oh yeah, hey, what's going on up there in Baltimore with Morgan State? Still questioning that RPO call at the end of that game. So that was the one game I watched. I tried to watch I did watch a little bit of the Jackson State Bethune game, but bruh, that game was tough to watch, man. That game was brutal. Like Coach said, you had a 3-2, 5-3. What the hell going on out here? You know, did somebody give up a grand slam or something in that game? I mean, what's going on with the score? And it was, but kudos to Bethune. They win that game. They had the opportunity to win that game. If they get a stop there late in the fourth quarter, they actually get the ball back with just over a minute to go, if I remember correctly, with an opportunity to come down and drive, but they could not get the stop there that they needed. So those were the two games that I actually laid eyes on that I thought were some pretty good games. You know, Central blew the crap out of the side of Valley. So, Bryan, any word on the attendance at the Circle City Classic? I'm just curious because I know growing up, you Circle City Classic was one of those classics that you went to 40, 50 in the Hoosier Dome, sometimes pushing 60. What do you have to know what the attendance was?
I got a whole thing on attendance, which I'm going to talk about here in a minute. But
is it the prime effect?
Let's just say it was disappointing. Oh God, I hope not. I hope not. You know, but I don't know what it was, but I'm going to talk about attendance coming up here in a second. But let me just interject a couple of points here from that FAMU Alabama State game. Obviously, it puts FAMU with a tiebreaker over probably the two toughest competitors out of the East by most people's prognostications, Alabama State and Jackson State, right? So I think that's the first thing. Second thing, 17-game home winning streak is pretty significant as well. Now, in that game, I don't know. It was a bad day for officiating with the commissioner of the conference in the building. Not only, and I think you touched on the chippiness. Let me tell you, I got some reports from one of my guys that on the field, thank goodness the mic couldn't pick up the chippiness on the field. You had on the field issues. You had a player from Alabama State on video appear to assault a member of the security team that was at the stadium after he was apparently jaw-jacking, to use one of Coach's phrases, with some fans. And then you had the post game at the end of the game where you had a little mini scuffle where I couldn't tell if it was Alabama State players trying to keep certain individuals on their own team from getting caught up in foolishness, because then you start seeing Alabama State players fussing at each other. But it was just chippy all night. And I heard the guys this morning talk about this becoming a new hot rivalry. Yes, it is. It is getting nasty. And the last 2 years have done that. And 3 years ago, no, I guess it's be 2 years ago, when Alabama State first came to FAM and they kind of wiped the floor with them. And that was the game in which everyone discovered Isaiah Land, because I think he had like 3 sacks, 4.5 tackles for loss. That was the Isaiah Land. Hey, who are you? Who's this guy? Yeah, that's who Isaiah Land is. That was his breakout game. And so the chippiness in that game, I hope, finds a way to settle down. I mean, both coaches were very cordial with each other at the end of the game. That was good to see. But in terms of players, and I don't even think the fans were getting into it so much. I think it was really just players acting a bit above themselves. But the officiating needed to be better, and it was a little disappointing to see. And thankfully, from the FAMU perspective, that it didn't turn out worse. Like, yes, they lost a down. I mean, how do you lose a down? You think about it. You lost a down. I mean, which resulted in FAMU having to pooch punt. And then at the end of the game, yes, where you're thinking FAMU should be taking a knee, they should be running the ball. FAMU's throwing the ball. It ends up being ruled an incomplete.
It looked like it was a fumble 6.
Hey, look.
On its way to it wasn't a fumble 6, but it was a great field position for Alabama State.
And and I know the officials nowadays, they don't blow the whistle. They let the play out.
Yep.
And so as the play happens, a FAMU player kind of recovers the ball, but everyone's standing around, no whistle. So what does Alabama State do? They strip the ball from the guy who's just standing there instead of getting down, and then they start running off. And you're thinking, hey, we're only up. FAMU is only up 13, and there's like maybe just around a minute or 58 seconds left. We've seen teams score 2 touchdowns in a minute, have we not?
Fam, you did it to South Carolina State a couple of years ago.
Okay, so we've seen it happen. So let's not act like we're in safe waters here. And so that game was not over, even though it should have been over. And let's just say at the end of the game, I think FAMU was trying to cover expectations. That's all.
So expectations. That's what you calling them now, Bryan.
That's what it is. That's what it is. It's called expectations.
Bryan, that game went from a bad beat one way to a bad beat another way to just a dub. You know, because that could have been a bad beat either way, and depending on which side of the line you were on in Vegas, your emotions were being played with something terrible. That last 58 seconds of that particular ball game, right there, Bryan. It was Jamie, interesting. That's all.
Jamie,
I can say.
What caught your?
Somebody put in there that the attendance was at 3,650 for the Circle City Classic.
I
hope not in the 60,000 seat stadium.
I just said I'm gonna talk about the attendance in a second.
I hope they forgot to put a digit on the end of that 36 something. I hope
Jamie,
that's what that was. They forgot to put that last number on that.
Jamie, what do you got?
I kind of went in on all three games. The Grambling game, just to see what they were doing. I knew Texas Southern was injured, man. I just, they're not at full strength. So I wanted to see if Grambling could finish the drill. Definitely the FAMU Alabama State game because of the heatedness of last year and how that game ended. And then the Jackson State game was confusing. The game I'm going to end up having to go back and really hone in on, but I didn't see it anywhere, was the Prairie View Alcorn State game.
Yes.
PV, we trusted it.
Yeah. Like, I couldn't believe it because I thought, okay, this is that year that Coach McNair just gets them together. They may have a win here, win there, loss here, loss there, and then somewhere in the middle of the season, they get themselves together and make a run right there. PV, got to give them credit. Right there in the thick of things in the West. So I got to go back and look and analyze that a little bit.
They are the class of the West, Jamie. 2-0.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And just looking at some of these stats.
You guys talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah, Jarvion Howard only had 13 carries for 41 yards. So that kind of told me, even in this low-scoring affair, what's up? What's going on? So I just need to look and see how kind of that, whole game developed. But we'll see. I wanted to, see that game and just how it went. But definitely some implications because I just knew Alcorn would be right there in the West just because everyone else seems to be, topsy-turvy, trying to get themselves together, things of that nature. But, yeah, definitely want to go back and see how that game developed. But probably one of the more important games that kind of no one saw.
Yeah, which that part that you said right there is disappointing that nobody saw it. Now, I'm hoping that maybe that game was on pay-per-view.
There it is right there. SWAC Live posted the game earlier.
Okay, so it's
okay,
on,
good deal.
It's on YouTube, so YouTube seems to always come through. But in the moment, though, maybe it was probably on Alcorn pay-per-view, which you would think that game would have got picked up by ESPN Plus. I don't know. I have to maybe reach out to Andrew Roberts at the SWAC to kind of find out how the protocols go for those games being picked up on ESPN Plus. But that would have seemed like a game worthy of being picked up on ESPN Plus. You know what I'm saying? And so what it makes for an interesting setup in the SWAC West because Prairie View now sits 2-0, and when you think about what's upcoming here in this State Fair Classic,
Southern is 2-0.
1-0.
No, 1-0. Excuse me. Southern's 1-0. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're only counting one of those games for Southern. Yeah. So you got an unbeaten Prairie View, an unbeaten Grambling, and an unbeaten Southern, and you're just sitting there like whoa, yeah. Doc said it was on the Alcorn paywall. So now Alcorn in that game had 14,645 people in attendance. That's now I'm getting all my numbers from off of ESPN a little bit here, but those numbers are broadcast. They're publicized, on the box scores and everything. Did you know the week before, Alcorn only had 2,052 people reported for their home opener against McNeese State? Now, again, that's coming from the attendance numbers that I saw on ESPN in the box score. 2,052, which right now for FCS ranks, I think it's the lowest that I just did kind of a quick search. I think that's the lowest attended game of the year.
Thank God for Jackson State to help balance the thing out so the SWAC can try to lead in attendance again, because if Alcorn State is what you're depending on, SWAC's not coming in first.
Well, especially when, and I mentioned that number next to the number from the Circle City Classic, and you brought this to my attention, and sadly that number by whoever posted that in the chats was not incorrect. It was, according to the official box score, 3,650. That's 6% of the 63,000 capacity Lucas Oil Stadium where that game was played. So essentially, you had what you might say is about as large as a high school game played.
A high school game where you can come down here in the South, Bryan, and get 5,000 at a high school game.
There's been some. You go to a state championship game, and some of these.
I'm not talking about state championship. I'm talking about any Friday night, Bryan.
Okay, well, as I just said, 3,650. That's about as big as you'll get, maybe more at a high school game. But yeah, 3,650 for that classic game, and that's I was worried about that. No, I did not say 36,000. I said 3,650. 3,650. That's all that showed up. Now, that breaks my heart because I grew up on that classic, and that classic would sell out 50, 60,000 people in the old RCA Dome when it was first created. And so I don't know. I bet, if anything, if it was the lack of advertising or it was the weekend, I can't say it's the teams because they've had a little bit more when they've had teams from the Midwest, like when they had Central State and Kentucky State and schools like that coming to the Circle City Classic. But that number, disappointing. But look at this other number. Look at these other numbers. Grambling, when they had their home opener, their home opener, 4,741. That was their home opener, right? Last, I'm sorry. Hold on. That was this past week against Texas Southern, 4,741. That's 24% of capacity. 2 weeks ago in their home opener against Florida Memorial, 6,783 people. So those numbers, I mean, they're just shocking. And I say that Jackson State last night, 44,215 was the number that was reported. I know some people I saw said they didn't see 44,000. I guess you had to be there to see it, but TV can sometimes be misleading. But the reported number is 44,215. So that's some interesting numbers. And I think I asked Carlos Brown. I asked him earlier what was Southern's number.
Southern was off this week.
Right, but so against the Jackson State game, Southern
it was
sold
like
22.
Out. Yeah,
29,986. And then Alabama A&M, which was their first SWAC game, 14,986.
Respectable.
Yeah, it was respectable. And I think the two FAMU games, just over 17,000 2 weeks ago against the Division II team.
Yeah, just short of 18.
And then
17,900.
8,500 something this past week against Alabama State. So I don't know if it's matchups or economy, but yeah, the numbers are interesting. We'll have to kind of wait to see. Let's not pass too much judgment just yet. State Fair Classic is coming up this weekend in Dallas. Let's see what kind of crowd that draws. But I think from here on out, I'll be scoreboard watching on the attendance just to kind of see what people are doing. Are people attending these games or not?
I will want to chime in on this one, Bryan, with this. And this may be part of it. Are the students coming out? Because the students have so many more options and they are just as happy watching the game on their iPad or on their phone as they are at watching the game live. Our rivals, and I'll take FAMU for instance, Southern is our rival, you and my generation. Bethune is our rival. But you got to think about it. There was a 15, 20-year gap between those FAMU Southern games. So the current students on campus know nothing about the Southern FAMU rival. And with Jackson State is geographically the closest game. And if I'm a student, the one game that I can travel to and support my team is when they play Alabama State. So maybe those rivals for the generation that's on campus is shifting a bit, which may influence the attendance. Are these students actually using that free ticket? I mean, here they taking that student activity fee out of your financial aid. You better show up to some of these doggone games besides homecoming because you paid for it anyway. So
I know the student body. I know the student section at the last two Florida A&M games were packed. So I don't know about every other school. I'd be curious to know. Maybe that's something that we could reach out to athletic departments and find out what the allotment of student tickets are, and do they look? I'm going to ask, do they track that? I'm not going to just assume because I got a feeling they may not track student tickets, and would they share that information? That's something that's that have to be considered. Like, I don't know, for example, at Southern or Jamie at A&T, is there a student section? Edwin said the Southern section's been packed good.
It wasn't when I was there. And they've done some changing, but not that I know of per se. But this is interesting, man. This is interesting. And I think it started, not where it started, but the NFL has kind of been keeping heed to this as well. As far as thinking futuristically. So as far as where everybody's kind of viewing their media, going to the games, it's interesting because everybody's not sitting at a game anymore, sitting in the stands, and it may have been trickling down or may have trickled down.
But we also make the argument it's more important for us to get eyeballs on the game than butts in the seat anyway. So maybe this is the fallout from us focusing so much on eyeballs that
that's a good point, Drew.
We are forgetting to invest in the in-game experience. You have to give me something when I go to the game. I know, and I'll take Tuskegee for instance. I know when I go to a Tuskegee game when I was a student, and even as an alum, I know that shed gonna be rocking. Now, as an alum, I'm not trying to sit over there near that shed and partake in the aromas of the shed. But and if you know, you know. But anyway, but still, just looking at it, that atmosphere. Same thing when I go to FAMU. I know the atmosphere at a FAMU. Alabama State, another atmosphere that I frequent. That I frequent a lot. I haven't been to Alabama A&M in a while, but Alabama A&M has always had it tough because the only time I went to Alabama A&M, I was with Tuskegee, so we know that game is going to draw. Anyway, Miles, another one that usually has a good atmosphere, but we've got some teams that the atmosphere just is, for lack of a better words, Bryan, terrible. Old stadiums, long lines, food, ain't nowhere to park. Is and y'all went in on it on Wednesday's ONG Strike Zone, and it's ugly, man. And FAMU, I hope that situation improve. I'll wait till Wednesday to find out from you guys. I hope that situation improve. You're looking at your head like, you went from an F to a D. That was the look that you just gave me. You improved, but you still not passing the class.
That's a good way of describing it right there. Good way of describing it.
But some of our atmospheres and some of our stadiums are just lacking. And with this new generation, they're looking for different things, and these young alumni are looking for something. And I'm be honest, I'm in that 50+ crowd. Lord, I don't believe I just said that out loud. But anyway, I'm in that 50+ crowd, and if I was not working a lot of these games as media, there are a lot of these games that I really have no interest in going to because I'm not sitting on bleachers. I need a chair back now. When I was 20, I could sit in the bleachers. I need a chair back, but I don't know if some of these teams is worth paying for a chair back, or there are no chair backs available for me to pay for. Just stupid stuff like that, and I can't take my stadium seat in and all that stuff. I'm not even. You can't take an umbrella in, but at least let me take the stadium seat in because its back ain't what it used to be. So different rules that we make we say for progress, but we're hurting the fan when we make some of these rules, and that's why people are slowly starting to find other things to do with their Saturday afternoon. If you're a Morehouse fan, you going to a Morehouse game, or you gonna stay home and watch UGA play?
Well, look, look, JG Rattler. I don't know how true that is, or how I got to think about that in terms of how increased exposure is going to bring down fan attendance. I got to think about that. I think
like I say, it's a heck of a lot more comfortable to watch it on my 60-inch curved TV at my house.
I get it, and I'm just wondering, if we're gonna have to put some.
I don't have to pay for a tailgating pass, and I can go and cook.
Data. It's hard to get the data to quantify that kind of statement because you don't know what the ratings are particular. So I don't know. That's just one of those things.
It is interesting though, because as we were talking about cultural experiences earlier, especially when it comes to certain environments, these students, I'll say kids, have no patience. They have no patience. And if that game day experience isn't what they want it to be, because I'll go to it. I love being at a stadium. I love nothing more than to be within the stands. I'm just like that. I love environments. I just do. But these kids don't feel the same way. They don't. And I can buy my own beer and sit on my own couch.
You can't even get beer at most of our stadiums.
Listen. I get it. So unless you give something to appeal, I'm talking about having to invest money into, I don't know, guest appearances by people. Like that is the only thing that turns them out in a lot of ways. That's why I always got to give props to Jackson State, because regardless of what's going on, these people, that crowd turns out. It may not be what it used to be for certain people, but they turn out. They come support as far as attendance is concerned. But I do think that question that came up earlier about whether or not the increased exposure is kind of deterring people from actually going to the games. I'm gonna say something, and I could be messed up. For as much as we want to talk about media rights, as much as we want to talk about certain things that go on within exposure and exposure dollars, and I know people, and all of us know folks that speak on this so much. The only thing I think people care about is where I can see the game. At the very end, at the very core of all of this, where can I catch the game? And whether or not I can go to a stadium or whether I can see it on TV. So the more outlets we have, which is great for media in this digital age, where can I catch the game? Okay, I can catch the game. That's it. I'm good then. I'm good. Nothing else really matters. And people don't give that crowd enough credence for caring about what goes on within the nuances of why it's important to have those eyeballs on the games or even be in attendance. Where can I catch the game? That's it.
Well, look, I'm curious, knowing that Alcorn, and I think I'm going to reach out to somebody and try to find out the numbers. But knowing that Alcorn only had 65% capacity this past weekend, what were their pay-per-view numbers like? So how many more people watched and streamed online? First off, what was the cost? How much more did you
Usually the cost online is the same as a ticket. There's a GA ticket.
Jamie, you did the same thing I just did. Wait a minute.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, I'm like, really? You gonna charge me $20 to sit at home and watch it on online?
A lot of schools charge the same because they figure you want to watch the game. Because why would I pay $30 for an in-person ticket when I can sit at home and watch it for $10? That's why they charge the same for the pay-per-view. And I'm not saying Alcorn State does. I said I know a lot of institutions charge the same whether you're watching it online or whether you're watching it live in person. Dr. Cavill, bail us out of this. Help guide us through this.
Research. I got to do the research on that one right there. I got to go through. Doc said, "Holy cow, 1990! Get the F out of here."
Did I say it's usually around the game ticket price?
Man, come on.
But are they making up for? Is the diehard fan making up dollars wise for those that's not going to attend? Like that's the question. Is charging that much basically a bottom line, type of situation? Because as a diehard, like I'm gonna just be honest with you, I'm not paying Flow Sports to watch A&T games.
Well, hold on, Jamie.
That's what,
I'm not gonna do it.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
What does Flow charge for the month?
Oh my god,
it's like $12.99, isn't it? It was. It may have gone up.
It's gone up. Gone up.
Okay, to what? 14, $15, 16?
They have wow. They have a package now where it's it may be $24.99, $30. It's gone up because I remember initially I got it. And then I was like, okay, even with the production in it. And I'm a production nerd, so you got to ignore me when it comes to certain stuff. Because if the game don't look good, and I got some stuff to say about that too, but we're not gonna go into here because I get a couple of checks from some people. But listen, if I'm paying this stuff, I want it to look a certain way, and if it doesn't, I'm not interested. But just like someone said, I forgot what just popped up. Okay, and see, Dr. Cavill, spoke about it. I'm telling you, the fan controls all of this.
They do. I don't think you're gonna look.
And Jamie, I'm gonna say this:
outpricing yourself.
And I've been in these meetings with other professionals in athletics, and the debate has been: do we charge for our streaming? Do we do it for free? And here's the thing, and this is where the discussion goes a lot of times. If I am paying to watch my team, be it $9.99, $19.99, whatever the case is, I am expecting a superior broadcast. Number one.
Why?
Number one, I am not paying, we're going to just say the $19.99 for you to turn on a camera with no commentators, give me a single cam shot for $19.99. There's no way in hell you may get it the first time. You will not get $20 out of me again for a single cam shot with no commentators. The commentators need to be knowledgeable and entertaining. This is my home broadcast, but I don't need the Homer-isms if I'm making sense when I say that. Number 3, you better have graphics. You better have replay. You better have 3 to 4 camera angles. I need some interviews.
You're spoiled.
Some of them can be recorded. So no, if I'm paying $20, bro, look, it's just like me paying for $49.99 to $79.99,
$5.99 a month. You pay
$149 for a Floyd Mayweather fight, or me paying for a UFC fight. If I am paying that kind of money, my disposable income, I am expecting a superior experience. Now, if you just put the game on YouTube, I could go with adequate, just enough for me to watch the game. But I had this thing.
ESPN. The ESPN Plus model, you pay $5.99 a month, and you get way more options and choices. But you're gonna pay $19.99 for one game,
or $100 for the doggone flow package.
Listen,
that I expect superior. If I am paying my disposable income, I expect the level of it to be up here if I am charging. And that institution, but I'm sorry, this is my last thought. Most schools cannot handle an adequate broadcast that you would need to do to do a pay-per-view. So either you need to hire a production company to do it, because if I'm paying that kind of money, that means in theory you should have money to invest in your cameras, in the right computers, etc., etc., etc. I shouldn't have any lag time. You should have the money to invest if me and 500 other people paying for this stuff. Don't get me started, bro. This argument is one you will not win with me when it comes to that.
I'm not trying to win anything.
You better at school. Hey, you better go out and tell Joe's Barbershop to contribute $100 towards some ads and get Mama with the chicken. With the fried chicken place down the street, I ain't talking about KFC. I'm talking about the one where everybody go get their wings at when they hungry at 2:00 in the morning. Get them to advertise. You better go out and sell some ads before you charge me, and I pay $20.
Listen,
all right.
You preach.
I'm turning my own mic off now.
Good. Paul, yeah, Jamie. Final thought here because
Man, no. Hey, listen, you are listen. Because we all do this. Like you know like a real conversation could really take place right now but it would take calling companies out and putting certain things to task when it comes to this. People don't want to pay for quality. Number one. But when they do pay for it, there should be an expectation that goes with that. Like you can't continue to say, I want to just support my institution and you give me nothing. But along with that, schools have to, is something I've always said about this whole media thing. Schools have to invest in their own production. You're talking about cutting out cost. If you care enough about athletics and can get that money back through just investing in your own stuff, if you invest in your own stuff, a couple of 4K cameras, some listen, it's not hard. It really isn't. But there are some schools that do not. I'm gonna just let somebody else do it. I'm gonna just let somebody else do it. No, I'm not gonna put this money into it. This is where it falls to the wayside. It's crazy. It's crazy. We could have a full show about this, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna find a way to do the research. I think it's deserved. I think it's deserved to put everybody's package on Front Street. I hate to say it that way, but at least to put all of these different pay-per-view entities and things like that to kind of put it out there and compare and contrast who's really providing a good deal, who's just making money. And again, the big question mark in all of this is your school making any money? That's the $1 million question with all of this. So, all right. I was going to briefly mention just point spread winners and losers. Bethune-Cookman, the biggest point spread winner of the weekend. They covered the 20.5. Jackson State was favored at home by 20.5. Bethune covered that. You also had a couple of 17-point dogs. You had, of course, Alabama State covered a 17 against Florida A&M. And the big winner was Norfolk State, who not only covered the 17 against Towson, but they won outright. So that was a money line win. I got to look it up, but that's a big payday. If you had Norfolk State on the money line over Towson, yeah, that was a big payday for you. Let's see. Morgan State covered 13.5 against Albany, who they lost to in overtime. So consecutive tough losses for Morgan State, another team that is close. So, everybody be excited for. Just think, where would Morgan State be had that fumble had not happened? All right, let's reveal the top 5. Let's really make people agitated and upset before it's time to.
Put this monstrosity out.
And then we gotta get into our top 5s for the new week. Okay, first off, the BCSN top 5 is a computer ranking. Drew, let's do the preface here. Unmute yourself. Explain to people what goes into. Don't give all the sauce away, but give people a little bit of the ingredients that go into making the computer rankings.
Well, this year we always looking to improve the formula. So this year there are 10 metrics that go into our formula this year. each of those metrics, you get a score from 1 to 100, which means a perfect score would be 1,000 based on the metrics. Some of those metrics include things such as margin of victory, obviously your win-loss record and your conference win-loss record go into it. Your ratings from a couple of different rating systems, your strength of schedule, and that's where your opponents are rated at in those when you play them. And if you happen, for those, since this is an HBCU poll, those non-conference games, if you go out and schedule HBCUs in those non-conference games, you get bonus points for those. You get points for those. So those 2, 3 non-conference games that everybody gets, you get points in our poll for playing another HBCU outside your conference, or in the case of Alabama State and Southern, you played an HBCU within your conference, but it was not a required conference game. So they picked up those same points as when Alabama State played Biles, which was not a required game. So going out playing HBCUs that are not required, being creative with those count. And then there is home, obviously you got where those games are played at. If those games are played at home, on the road, or neutral site games, i.e. the classic games. So that's the formula in a nutshell.
All right. Do we have graphics or?
Oh, am I doing it?
Well, I didn't.
You didn't download it. Okay,
I didn't get it from you, or where is?
Oh yeah, it's in there. But I will.
I see.
You see it. You got it, or you want me to do it?
I can. Well, you go ahead and pull it up, and then that way I can just kind of read the totals.
All right, now you got to give me a moment to pull it up because I did not have it pulled up.
So just to let people know, top 5 rankings. We avoid the preseason polls, the preseason ranking, because a lot of the preseason stuff that I've noticed is based off a lot of statistics from last season. So what we needed to do, we needed to see a sample size and get about 3 to 4 weeks of games in. And so now that we've reached that point where we've reached 4 weeks of action, now we can kind of actually run these games. Why do you have that bewildered look, Jamie?
I was peeping at it again. I'll tell you once it's revealed. Like, because one of them is either wishful thinking or a Freudian slip. We'll see. We'll see.
Well, is it okay? Okay. So again, we have our 2 divisions. We have our Division 1 and our under Division 1. Under Division 1, of course, considering D2 and NAIA schools. Okay, that's how the 2 sides are broken up. All right.
All right, I'm coming, man.
I was waiting. I'm like, what are you doing?
I got to log into my other profile.
It's not that hard, is it?
Yeah. Just bringing this up is.
I could have done it.
You could have done it. I thought you had the slides, so I'm trying to open them up right now.
I was gonna say it takes about 5 clicks.
Yeah, but when you're not on the right place to click, it takes you a minute to get to it. There we go. I think this is it.
Football rank.
Here we go.
All right. Yeah, exactly. Live broadcast, Edwin. This is how it works on live So
What's that?
have your, you know, do. All right. Okay. So I think I have it loaded, Drew. So do you see it?
Yeah, I see it. I'm just trying to maximize my screen somehow so that I can.
See, that's what I'm like. I don't know what you're doing, because if it hasn't loaded for you, then it's like we just use what I posted right there. Can you hit that button?
Oh, you got it already. Lord Jesus. I didn't see that.
All right, here we go. The BCSN top 5 got nice, cool graphics and everything here. All right, so the under D1. All right, okay? Let's go. Let's go through it. Let's see what we got here. Are we starting with any in the hunt? Okay, yep. In the hunt, we've got again. These are falling outside of the top 5. We have schools like Miles College, Virginia Union, who just recently lost. Virginia Union is not 4-0, technically 3-1 and 1-1. So please excuse the typo. And then
I was thinking about the Royal Virginia School when I typed that.
And then I think you have, we actually have
that's it. That's right.
Yeah, okay, so because it's different on the spreadsheet, so that's
right.
Why
That was, yeah, that's right. On the screen.
All right, so that's in the hunt. All right, here we go. Let's go. Number 5 in the BCSN top 5 per initial rankings. Bowie State. Bowie State Bulldogs 3-1, 2-0 in the CIAA. Just survived a battle against St. Aug. A little bit closer than it probably needed to be, but they survived. Number 4, Tuskegee. Unbeaten, 4-0, 3-0 in the SIC. Just defeated Lane in double overtime, 28-22. So, yeah. Number 3. Interesting. Fort Valley State. I don't know. Is that record correct? 4-1? I think they're actually 3-1.
3-1. 3-1.
Yep. Please excuse the typo. Fort Valley State is 3-1. 2-0 in conference play, I believe, still. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. So that's number 3. That's interesting.
Because the Tuskegee game was non-conference.
Non-conference. Okay, that's correct. Number 2, Virginia State, the Wahoos, the Trojans. No, that's Virginia University. The Trojans. Yeah, I don't know why. I saw the colors and everything. My mind went Wahoo. But in the Wahoos, isn't that like the dance team or somebody's dance team? Whose dance team is the Wahoos? You're on mute. I think it is Virginia State.
Yeah, I thought it was the University of Virginia.
I have no idea. All right, so now I'm confused as heck now. But anyway, see, this is what happens when I go off script. All right, the Trojans unbeaten, 4-0. Don't forget, had a very good win against Norfolk State to open the season, and a big time win against Fort Valley State, 45-13. All right.
No question about who's number 1.
No question about number 1. Benedict College, 4-0, 2-0. Just recently defeated Shawan. They've only allowed 1 touchdown in 4 games. They shut out their first 2 opponents, gave up a touchdown to their opponent last week, and held Shawan to a field goal. So looks like Morehouse is next. That's going to be tough for Morehouse. But anyway, there's our top 5: Bowie, Tuskegee, Fort Valley, Virginia State, Benedict. Jamie, any thoughts? You want to comment, shake your head? Now's the time to do it. Put it back up there, Drew, so that way he can fuss at the computer. Remember, it's not us, it's the computer.
Gotta give kudos to Stephen J. Gaither again. Made a good point. I have Bowie State out of the top 5, and Allen in there. Mm-hmm. I do. Also, I have Miles in there instead of Fort Valley. So I think Miles's win against who was it? Alabama State.
Alabama State.
Yeah, was more impressive to me. So yeah, those are probably the two changes I made. He told me I was being SIAC biased. I said maybe.
Maybe, right. Maybe.
I said maybe. You know, but yeah, that I mean, so that's it. But they're right there in the thick of things.
Go ahead, Drew.
I would say I think Stephen Gaither might be in support of this poll because Winston-Salem State appears down on that bottom line down there.
Oh, he would be.
Yes. So also West Virginia State. Take a look at them in the hunt category. They slowly climbing up. What I found interesting when the numbers were ran in the computer is that Allen did not. Allen fell. If you take this as our top 10, Allen fell out of the top 10 right now. So although Allen passes the eyeball test, for us, they do not pass the analytical test for the computer. So I found that interesting when all the data was inputted into the computer. And a lot of that has to do with
opponent.
I think, I was gonna say I think strength of schedule had a lot to do with that with Allen because they are 3-0, but their opponents that they have beaten have not been highly ranked opponents. That's why you have some one-loss teams in there ahead of Allen at this point in time. Even a two-loss team in Winston-Salem State ahead of Allen because of the strength of schedule. I think that's what really hurt Allen at this point in time.
Now that we said that, Jamie, when I look at the rank, I'm thankful we don't do a whole top 20 because folks from Allen would look and see who's 2 spots above them, and please don't mention it, don't say it, because all you gotta do is look 2 spaces above them and be like, oh hell no, that's all I'm. I don't know what kind of sauce this computer's on because you look at that and you be like, come on now, how is that even possible? But computer rankings, that's all you can say. West Virginia State, 11. That's interesting. Okay. Go ahead. What?
No, I say West Virginia State actually coming in number 9.
Okay, so that was the.
Because don't forget, there's a couple of lines above it. That's why they're on the 11th line, but they're actually number 9.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
You've got your space for your headers and all that stuff at the top of the spreadsheet.
Yeah, I only got 1 line, but I got what you're saying though. I should drop it down 1. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's take it into the Division 1. This will be interesting.
Ooh.
Again, these are computer rankings. These rankings do not reflect my personal opinions, nor Jamie Walker's, or probably AD Drew's.
I want to see how Doc tears our computer apart on Tuesday when his rankings come out on inside the HBCU Sports Lab. I really want to see that because I want to know what Doc is laughing about.
Again, computer rankings. These are based on data from this season already, not last season, but this is data this season. All right, let's go, Drew. Let's cut the cord. In the hunt, you've got Hampton, who many people have in their top 5, Prairie View A&M, and Norfolk State. So that would be, if you were outside of the top 5, that would be 6, 7, and 8 schools. And I kind of agree with that to a large part because I think seeing Norfolk State close after, is given who they beaten and who beat them is pretty interesting. All right. No, hey Edwin, I stand by our analytics. Look, I'm just amazed at it. That's all. I continue to be amazed at it. I stand by it. If I didn't stand by it, I wouldn't be about to read it. So here we go. Number 5, the Grambling State Tigers. Coming in, starting off at number 5, 2-2. The SWAC's top offense Top rushing team. Don't look past that game against LSU. Had a tough loss to Hampton to open the season, but they've won 2 in a row. Number 4, Jackson State. Jackson State, the only team that's 3 and that has 3. Well, no, not the only team, but they've played 5 games. They've kind of been up and down. Win a game, lose a game, win a game, lost a game, and they most recently won. So good positive start for Coach T.C. Taylor and Jackson State. Number 3, Florida A&M. Many people's number 1 in their polls, but the Rattlers come in at number 3 in the BCSN computer rankings. Number 2, North Carolina Central. Also a team that many people either have 1 or 2, but if you notice the points, they come in a little couple more points ahead of North Carolina Central. I thought it was closer than that, but it's like 21 points.
Now, before you get to number 1, Bryan, I just want to see a couple people chat out here who they think is number 1 right now. Before we get to number 1, I just want to see who. Thank you. Who's left at number 1?
Who's left?
Who can figure out who's number 1?
Who's left on the
FAMU
board?
is 3 and Central is 2.
Oh, this is gonna be epic.
Let's see. Let's see. The computer's on. Well, okay. Hold on, Jeremiah. You want us to put your own program doesn't even wear the helmet with the block on it. So why do you care what helmet? You guys got like 5 helmet designs. So what does it matter? Keep on going. Let's see. What else we got? Who else? Let me see. No, FAMU hadn't been said. There's a vote for Howard. Another one for a couple other people. Yeah, Marcus. Well, hey, I like. It's the computers, Marcus. I mean, look, we put all the data in there. Don't get mad at the computer just because it doesn't turn out what we want. The number 1 team to open up the season on the BCSN computer rankings, the Tennessee State Tigers. Coach Eddie George coming in with the number 1 spot, just a little bit over North Carolina Central with the number 1 spot, representative of the now y'all want to throw the computer out, huh? See how y'all do our computer?
Bryan, I'm gonna be honest with you. When I ran these numbers, I had to go back honestly and check the formula and make sure that I did not input something incorrectly and make sure everything was calculated like it was supposed to be.
I'm glad you did that. I'm glad you did that.
Supposed to be calculating. But right. Let's think about this though, Bryan, as we go to the slide.
Yes.
Let's think about it. Central.
Yes.
Beat a Division II team that is in the bottom half, middle to bottom half of Division II.
Right. Winston-Salem State.
Mm-hmm. Right. Florida A&M beat an upper.
Hold on. Stay with Central. No. Stay with Central for a second.
Okay. They got blew out by UCLA.
Uh-huh.
They beat an A&T team who is right. It was winless and in the bottom quadrant of FCS as of right now. That should be a 3-1 record for Central. I don't know why it says 4-0.
That's all right. And most recently beat the next team who sits right above North Carolina A&T probably. Or even right below.
No, Valley is the lowest rated team in FCS.
All right.
So that's why Central cannot be number 1 right now.
Right.
All right. Florida A&M.
Now this is interesting.
Okay. They beat another top-rated team in Jackson State, so that's a quality win. We'll give Florida A&M a quality win right there.
Mm-hmm.
Went on the road. They lost to USF, who is in the bottom 10 of the FBS ratings.
So stop right there. So what you're saying is North Carolina Central lost to a better FBS team than Florida A&M.
Correct.
Okay.
Despite the score.
Despite the score.
Despite
At
the
the
score.
end of the day, the score doesn't really matter, does it?
No.
Okay.
The score. Well, you do get some things from margin of victory. FAMU was able to pick up a couple points or two because they played USF closer. But you know how when you're doing AAU basketball, Bryan, and once you lose by 15, it don't matter if you lose by 15 or 50.
Right.
It's just a 15-point loss.
Yep.
That was Central. It didn't matter that they lost by 50.
Correct.
Once they got past that magic number, the computer treated the loss the same.
Yep. That's good. Okay.
Okay. They did beat one of the top teams in Division II, a top 20 team in Division II, but it was a Division II opponent.
Yep.
And they beat a Alabama State team, if I remember right, is rated 101 out of 128. It may be lower than that. So although they on paper they have a good record, but the competition that they've played has not been the best. Tennessee State lost to a highly rated Notre Dame team. You equate that loss on the same level as the Central loss to UCLA.
Right, but if we had to rank tiers again, if you just take that theory of once you hit the 15, once you lose the 15, once you get to 15, it doesn't matter, right? So if
it's actually 17 because if it's more than two possessions, it's 16 is two possessions.
Okay, so what you're saying is the levels of losses to FBS team go. Tennessee State lost to Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
North Carolina Central lost to UCLA. FAMU lost to South Florida.
Correct.
Okay. Go ahead.
Correct. All right. Tennessee State, the only one of the top three who has not played a
Division II.
Actually, them along with Jackson State is the only team who in this top five who have not played a team at a lower level, Division II or NAIA. So have not played in Division II. They also it's a byproduct of them not playing this week. Being on the bye actually kind of helped their rating because they didn't have a chance to lose any points. I believe if this thing would have been this poll would have been done, or this rank would have been done when all three teams were 2-1, the data may have come out a little bit different because Central would not have played the worst team in FCS at that point in time. And Florida A&M would not have played a bottom quadrant team at that point in time. Those two teams would have been rated higher than Tennessee State. But since those games are on the record now, that makes Tennessee State's strength of schedule better than Central and Florida A&M's.
Jamie, thoughts?
Since he explained this, I feel a little bit better about it. I probably wouldn't have put Grambling so high, being that they lost to Hampton head to head.
Yeah, and that's always going to be the thing that people are always going to look at. You know, that's understandable.
But kind of, you know, what I say to people all the time, it'll end up shaking itself out because I think Tennessee State has some opponents coming up. You know, I think they play Kennesaw. I think they play Norfolk State. You know, I think all of this will kind of shake itself out. And what's been interesting is, I mean, I was just looking over Tennessee State's record in general, as much as, and the Freudian slip that I talked about is in the ranking. It has Tennessee State in the SWAC.
Yeah.
But
yeah, our intern's got to do a lot of proof checking.
Huh?
Look
we'll,
at
Oh,
we'll talk to the
logo
intern
was
about that.
changed. I see it. I didn't even catch that, Jay.
Man, yeah.
We'll have to talk to the intern about that.
They're making the argument even tougher for them to be pushed in the conference. I guess just based on what they're playing. I mean, with this OVC Big South Alliance, just for playing, it's kind of interesting. It's shaping up for them to be competitive within those within that conference. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, it'll all shake itself out at the end of the day.
What I found interesting is when you go and look at some of the data analytic sites and how they rank people. And like I said, I had to eat a little humble pie when this was first released, because the number one team, according to both of the data services that we input from, both have who ranked as the top HBCU, Drew. FAMU. Okay. So again, just so you know, and you folks see this, and you don't think this is no Homer, this is no Homerism going on here. This is us just letting the numbers doing what they do. Now, again, do not disregard what you see next to the names. You know what? In the future, Drew, I think we ought to just leave out. Tell the intern to leave out the records, and we just put the school name and the points. So that way, because it throws people off when they look at the numbers, because yes, they are incorrect with the records. For example, North Carolina Central is not unbeaten. FAMU is not 2-2.
Nobody's unbeaten on this.
Yeah, so that just throws people off. So we just jot that down for the intern and say, hey, intern, please don't put the a record or we just put the name of the school, the helmet. We'll find the Jackson State helmet with the correct one, or maybe
the block JSU.
Hold on, maybe somebody can tell us which helmet they're going to wear this week, because they got about 5 of them, and I still haven't seen the traditional one yet. So maybe someone will tell me which one they're going to wear, and then that's the one we'll put up. And so, but no, I mean, we get it, everybody. So, I appreciate you. I'm good to know you guys see it, but more importantly, what is correct is the name and the points. And so that's what is correct. Yes. Yeah. All right. Where did I want to make sure real quick, because I know
real quick, we had 3.5 hours, Bryan. Ain't nothing quick about this show.
You didn't have to say all that. See, you saying all that that's like being in church and the sermon is good and people, you're just there, and then you look at your watch and be like, Lord have mercy, and Bessie,
I'd have missed kickoff. That's what you say.
Right. You're like, Bessie, you done missed kickoff. You ain't supposed to say that. Look, I'm trying to get us out of here. Just roll with me here. All right. So here's the week 5 games, and if I can find my other sheet here real quick here. All right. These are the week 5 games. Now, we got some first off, unbeatens. We got 4 unbeatens left, but they're all in Division 2. Tuskegee, Benedict, Allen, and Virginia State. Of course, Virginia Union lost, so no more. So we're down to 4. In terms of winless teams, 2 teams got their first win this past week. South Carolina State got their first win against the Citadel, 31-10. And Edward Waters got their first win against Morehouse, 44-14. Now, do we know what happened to Shaw? Did anyone know? Did Shaw end up winning or losing?
They won.
They won. We can cross Shaw off the list too, as they got their first win. So that leaves Texas Southern, Delaware State, A&T, Sorry about that, Jamie.
Okay.
Livingston, Stainog, Clark, Lane, Morehouse, and Lincoln as all teams.
Delaware State gets off the schneid this week.
Is that a prediction? Okay.
That is a bold prediction. Don't ask me who they playing. Well, I'll tell you who they playing. They got everybody's date. The old date. They got the old date. They got Lynchburg. Yeah, they got Lynchburg.
Hey, don't mess around. They might lose that game.
Lynchburg got a quarterback now.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes, they do.
They mess around and lose that game. Okay.
They putting up some points.
Last week in our Pick 5 contest, Jamie with a 5-2 record, only losing the Virginia Union and Alcorn contest. Big wins with the Albany State. And, of course, he picked FAMU. We all picked FAMU. So, essentially, we all should have been like 4-3. Drew and I should have been 4-3. Jamie 5-2. But Drew and I, we voided the FAMU Alabama State game because you knew who we were going to pick. You knew we were going to pick FAMU. So, but anyway, Drew and I both finished 3-3. That brings our season total to 11-10, Drew. We're not doing really well. We're doing that's like 52%. So we would be, we're the VIG right now, Drew. The 11 to win 10. We're the VIG, as it's called.
Hey, if I was in Vegas, I'd be happy because I'm ahead of the house.
There you go. Homecoming games this upcoming week. Our first row of homecoming games. You got Elizabeth City State hosting Johnson C. Smith, a 3-1 Johnson C. Smith, mind you. Kentucky State hosting Albany State. Yeah, that's going to be tough. Texas Southern with a chance to get their first win hosting Lincoln of California. Hopefully they can get a win. And then, of course, Alabama A&M hosting Tuskegee, a game we've talked about before.
I think Texas Southern gets off the schneid.
Yeah, that'll be their opportunity. Okay, let's go picks. Here we go. Miles traveling to Central State at noon Eastern. Another game. Drew, who you got?
Golden Bears.
Jamie?
Golden Bears.
I'll make it a clean sweep. I'll go with the Golden Bears as well. 2:00 Eastern in Norfolk. Jamie's Aggies off the bye week, taking on Norfolk State. Jamie, your boys getting it done? You rolling with the Aggies?
I am rolling with the Aggies.
There you go. Drew, who you got?
Strange things happen in the Bay. That's all I'm going to say. And I think the strangest thing of all that's going to happen is A&T finds a fluke way to win this game.
I'm not as optimistic. I'm going with Norfolk State. I'm going with Norfolk State in this one. Go with the home team against the winless team. Not this week for you Aggies. All right. We mentioned it a few times. 3:00 Eastern, Tuskegee, Alabama A&M. Should be a good one. Unbeaten Tuskegee going up against Alabama A&M. Drew, who you got?
Why would you start with me on this game?
Because I started with Jamie on the A&T game. Come on now.
And I'm torn. My heart says the Golden Tigers going here with the upset, but I don't know if Connell Maynard can deal with Tuskegee coming in and beating him in his own house. Tuskegee has never defeated Connell Maynard in Huntsville. Last time we defeated Alabama A&M, we played in Birmingham. So and it's homecoming. So I'm going to, despite my heart, Tuskegee fans, I have got to lean towards Alabama A&M defending the homecoming.
Wow. Jamie, who you got?
Man, you know what? I'm going to roll the dice. I'm going to go Golden Tigers in the upset.
Tuskegee. Woo, woo, woo. I see you, Jamie. Well, you're going to be a lone wolf on that one, Jamie. I'm going with the home team on homecoming, Alabama A&M. I'm going with the Bulldogs. I'm going with the Bulldogs. So there you go. Alcorn State looking to rebound. Two teams looking to rebound. Alcorn traveling to Alabama State. Both teams lost last week. It's a 6 p.m. Eastern kickoff, which is 5 local time at Alabama State. This would be an interesting game. This could really, I hate to say it, this might knock someone out of contention for a berth in the SWAC championship. So, who did I start? I started with Jamie. Who you got?
Wow. Normally, I would say I would love to see who was playing quarterback for Alabama State, but I'm gonna go with Alcorn here. I'm gonna go with Alcorn.
Ooh, going with the road team. Drew, who you got?
I'm with Jamie. Until Alabama State shows me something offensively that they've got, they've got arguably the best wide receiver in the SWAC in Keyshawn Johnson. Mm-hmm. They have nobody to get the ball to the best wide receiver in the SWAC. So until that question gets solved, and I believe D. Davis has been hurt, so until I see a quarterback in black and gold, I'm going to roll with the purple and gold.
Damon Stewart is his name. Get used to it, because I think he's more than capable of taking over for D. Davis, and he knows where to find Keyshawn Johnson. And plus, Damon Stewart is a pretty good runner. So I think if Alcorn is able to put some pressure on him, I think he's able to get out of it. So I think if that was the toughest defense he's going to face, for the next week or two, and he still did pretty well, I think he'll do well enough to beat Alcorn. I'm going with Alabama State at home. The last one of our games in our Pick 5, the State Fair Classic. 2 unbeaten teams in the SWAC West. Prairie View A&M versus Grambling. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Prairie View is the team that's on the streak. This thing goes in streaks. So I think the winning streak right now belongs to Prairie View. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it's maybe the last 3 to 4 games. But it's going to be a 7 p.m. kickoff. It will appear on ESPN Plus, played in the Cotton Bowl in Dallas. Drew, who you got?
I'm torn between this one. Grambling, where both these teams are teams that like to run the ball very, very well and do it very well. But both these teams lately have been just fighting a way to win. I think the Grambling game against Hampton kind of opened up the eyes. That was a game that Grambling should have won. And since then, it looks like they kind of started to figure things out. But Prairie View wins this game. They pretty much can cruise to a SWAC West championship.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, they'll be 3-0. They would have beaten. They would have beaten Alcorn. They would have beaten Grambling. You got Southern. That's it. That's the only other team that you have to beat if you are Prairie View. So, because you should be favored against every other game, especially in the West. So, I'm leaning Prairie View. I'm thinking that we thought everything was going to be mediocrity and it was going to be 4-4 this year. Hell, Prairie View wins this game. That's going to be what, victory 3? They only need 2 more to get to that magic number of 5, because I think 5 wins it in the West.
All right, so you're going one more time. Say it again. You're going PV. All right, Jamie, who do you like?
Man, I'm gonna keep riding that Grambling train. I like what I see out of them offensively. Even though PV is a formidable defense, man. Like, you know, they're gonna come hit you, but you know, they are in the image of their head coach, for sure. Trajan Connolly's been playing well, even though, you know, you may not like what you see out of him in the passing game, but he's worked a great deal to improve it, and they done well as an offense. But I think Grambling does a little more and ekes out a win by 3.
Yeah, that seems like a close enough game. And so I went in and looked at the streak, and it's a 5-game winning streak for Prairie View. Prior to that, Grambling had won the previous 4 years. And prior to that, Prairie View won the previous 4 years. And then, I mean, this thing goes in 4 to 5 year cycles. So I think it's Grambling's time. It's Grambling's time. Coach Hugh gonna get his win, gonna get his dub, and continue to make the SWAC West go crazy. So I'll take Grambling. In this one. So all right, just want to remind everybody we got 2 games that'll appear on the Black College Sports Network. Saturday, we've got the Morehouse at Benedict game, 6 p.m. Eastern. And we've also got Edward Waters at Savannah State. So both of those you'll be able to watch on the Black College Sports Network. There will be separate stream feeds set up for both games. So make sure to pay attention to those links. As always, make sure you're following us on social at MyBCSN1, the number 1, to get that information. You can also go to MyBCSN.net. Download the Jericho Broadcast Network's app on the Google Play on Apple App Store. MyJBN, MyBCSN is where you can find it. Jamie, any final thoughts? Anything you want to say before we shut it down? And I appreciate your time this evening, man. I know it's been a long one. So.
Oh man, no problem at all. And always enjoy being on here, man, with you brothers. Cause y'all are right, man. Y'all, you know, both of y'all have issues, and I love being on here trying to navigate through all of this. But man, I mean, just loving the HBCU football season, man. Let's just keep it going.
Drew, what do you want to add?
Look, I just want to thank all those people on the other end, be it on YouTube, be it on Facebook, be it on Twitter, be it that you're listening to this tomorrow on the Pod Zone. I just want to thank all you all for
no pressure
for tuning in and following us, liking us, and sharing, because you know you people who are watching us and those who watch us on the regular, you guys don't know how much it really means to correspond with you people, and I hate saying you people because it's like, oh, one of them over there, but just the people out here listen to us. You know, I look forward to. I don't care how tired I am or what I have going on. I feel bad when I can't come on and do a Sunday night. You know, sometimes life happens where we can't do it. Number one, thank Jamie for filling in some of those times when we can't do it. But no, I really appreciate Edwin Moore, Chuck Hunt, Tamara T. You know, I can go up and down this list. Karen Griffin, and seeing these names. Not only for this show, be it Dr. Cavill's show, be it the ONG, be it Carlos Brown, whatever show it is, just tuning into us and believing in this product that we are putting out, and believing in this vision that we have to bring knowledge to HBCU sports fans. I don't care if it's 1 or 1,001 people who tune into this podcast. I'm going to do it with the same passion every week. So,
well said, Drew. Well said. Want to remind and encourage you, come join the JBN memberships that we set up on YouTube. Just another opportunity to support the show and the program as we continue to find ways to add some member exclusive content and things like that. So you get an opportunity to be a part by going to youtube.com/myjbn online/join, or just right there. You can find it easily on the YouTube pages. Got to thank Jermaine McDaniel and Coach Farasi Norman for coming in and joining us on this show. And as always, we thank you guys for watching, subscribing, sharing, rating, review, thumbs up, likes. We appreciate it all in all the various places that you find our content. Continue to share it with your friends and your family. And as Drew said, Black educators are the culture. There you go.
Indeed.
All right. Well, enjoy the week, the tune-up to week 5. Good luck to your favorite HBCU teams, and we'll see you back here again next Sunday for another live edition of the BCSN Sports Wrap. Peace out, everybody.
Travel light. We'll holler.
But you stay hard.